Hello, everybody. Hi. What's going on? It's totally only 5 o'clock. It's fine. It's fine. Everything's fine. We're all fine here. See, I'm gonna admit something to everybody. When I made my character of myself, I took Streamwise, I took role-playing game-wise, but I did not take microphone hardware-wise, and this is where we ended up. So I'm sorry for that.
Sorry.
But hey, we're live now, which is what counts. So we're live for what purpose? What are we doing here? What's going on? I want to play a role-playing game. Do you guys want to play a role-playing game?
Sounds good.
Yeah.
With me?
I like role-playing games.
Well, before we do that, why don't we introduce ourselves? Depending on what you watch and when you've been around on the internet, you may recognize some of us. I have with me half of the original cast of Roll20 Presents Apocalypse World. We've retrieved Austin from the maelstrom. You've been brought back.
I have.
From the Chaos Storm.
We got brought back from having a day job now and not being able to make that time slot.
Did we tell you about how chat like backed up your disappearance in fiction?
No.
Okay, so in the game we're playing in Apocalypse World, Austin had to step out. His character we had to come up with a reason for his character not to be around because he had to go and be a big important fancy pants in New York City.
New York City.
But what was awesome was that the setting of the game has to do with like people are losing their memories after the apocalypse, and so when you left, everyone who'd been watching the show, you know, they just took to it no problem. They're just like, okay, whatever, we'll just keep playing. The PCs have forgotten the character for now, but new people would come into chat and be like, hey, where's Smith July? And the regulars would be like, who? What? Who are you talking about? I don't like. They all forgot with us. I know, it was beautiful.
Well, I'm here now.
No need to forget anymore. Well, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself,
yeah,
Austin?
I'm Austin Walker. You may know me again from the Apocalypse World game that I was in briefly back in May. I am a games critic. I work for GiantBomb.com. I had to quit playing Apocalypse World because that is time during which I write news stories about Nintendo and critical pieces about things like public funding for art games, apparently. And you can find all my stuff now at GiantBomb.com. So that's really the one place for me. And over on Twitter, I'm at Austin_Walker.
How's New York treating you, Austin?
Good.
Is it like brutal? Is it brutally hot there, or is it not so much? It's pretty
hot. It hasn't gotten into like bad summer heat yet. Like that'll come probably in July or August. Till then, it's a little uncomfortable, but it's not unbearable.
Well, good, because it's hot as fuck here. I am dying.
Where are you at? You're out. You're in.
I'm on the West Coast, and it's. I mean, I'm a big baby, but it's still hot here.
That's fair. Big babies get hot. You know, they're so big.
That's true. It's true. Yep. There's some fan art waiting to happen.
Oh my god.
If there's anybody in the audience who is a Misclicks fan, which there should be, if you're not already, go make that happen. Jess might be a familiar face to you. We've played games before, Jess. How many times have we played? We played Monster Hearts together.
Yeah, we played Monster Hearts.
We did the meat grinder.
2 different Dungeon World campaigns, I think.
That game.
On Misclicks.
Do people still play? Do people still play Dungeon World? Because I heard it was not. I heard it was on the downslide. Well, welcome back.
That is pretty good.
Welcome back, Jess. Super happy to have you.
You can find 50 episodes of me running a Dungeon World game at friendsathetable.net. So
go buy Dungeon World, everybody.
No, it's really awesome.
So tell us a bit about yourself, Jess. What kind of nerdy things do you do?
Well, I'm pretty much a nobody, but that's okay, right? We're all friends here.
I'm scoffing as hard as I can. I'm gonna hurt myself.
I do some commission artwork for some Twitch streamers. I do some channel art for people. I have a website that I made called endeavors.org. It's pretty awesome. Check it out.
Science.
And science rules.
Endeavors is really cool.
Bill
and I approve.
I'm filled in on Twitter. That's it. That's me.
People are gonna go and they're gonna see your art and they're gonna be like, "Oh, I've seen this before." Because that shit is everywhere. I really like the stuff that you did for Nimmergeist, the character portraits.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, very
That was
solid.
really, really fun because
Yeah.
I got like sneak peeks of all their character descriptions, and it's like a big naughty secret. It's really cool.
That's why we do these things, big naughty secrets.
Mm-hmm.
It's the whole reason.
Couldn't tell anyone.
Yeah. But it's currency of the internet, right? Because secrets are not a thing anymore. So the fact that you knew in advance. I mean, like we've been planning this campaign for like a while, right? And for me especially, because I'm so excited about the Burning Wheel. I was like, I can't tell anybody anything, and people are like, what game are you gonna play? And I'm like, well,
I don't know.
Wheels out of the bag now. Speaking of wheels, check this segue out, Andrew. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, if people don't already know you as everybody's favorite creepy brain doctor?
Well, I'm everyone's favorite creepy brain doctor. I'm Andrew. I'm a friend of Adam's, and we played a lot of story games together, and so it was for that reason that he invited me to come onto his show, the Apocalypse Roll show. And so now we're doing this one, which I'm really excited about. Because we played Burning Wheel together once upon a time, and it was really sweet, and then it's really hard to get people.
Yeah, Andrew and I are friends, but when I set him up with a perfect segue to talk about bicycles, he just shoots me down, just fucking leaves me hanging. I was going with the wheel thing.
I'm a bicycle in my day-to-day life.
It's true.
That's my main thing.
That's so weird. You don't look like a bicycle.
Don't listen. Bicycles come in all shapes and sizes.
Yeah, there's no wrong way to have a body or be a bicycle. Okay,
okay, that's fair.
There's no wrong way to be a bicycle. You heard it here first, everybody.
And so, yeah, I'm just like a person who really loves all these games. So I'm really excited.
Good.
If you want to follow Twitter @CommutingCrow, you can do that, and you can like shout things at me, tell me what I'm doing wrong. Andrew
really likes it when you tell him how much you like his characters, and he doesn't get embarrassed at all, ever. So definitely do lots of that.
Oh, Mad Max.
All right. Well, the post-apocalypse has begun. Cool. And brand new to our internet role-playing action. Colin, who art thou?
Good question.
I know, the big heavy hitters.
First and foremost, I am a person who likes video games. So that puts me in a unique position, I think, among this community.
Weird.
And I like watching people play video games, and I do that frequently. And like Jess, I also co-founded Endeavorist, where we do sciencey things. We try to crowdfund science and that sort of stuff. So really, I have nothing to do with tabletop role-playing games at all.
Yeah,
and just to emphasize, I'm a complete novice, and this is going to be really awesome. I'm really excited.
Yeah, when we were talking about getting everything set up and stuff, I was like, what's the best possible game that I could find for someone who's never played role-playing games before?
I heard Burning Wheel is like basically the easiest role-playing game there is, so it's a good place to start out.
Yeah, you just make stuff up, and there's no complicated math or dice or anything involved. It's fine.
Yeah.
Wait, there's math?
It's okay. Roll20 will do all the math for us.
Wait, there's dice? I only use index cards in my gaming. Thank you very much.
Yeah, only first edition D&D.
Yeah, this is the part where we all go and dress up like vampires and play rock, paper, scissors.
Mm-hmm.
That's an old nerd joke from an old nerd.
Yeah, I'm with you though.
You can't make it a sign for being invisible in the neighborhood or we get shot.
Yeah. You saw me do that, right? I just did it. I just did the obfuscate.
Yep, dork jokes. So, what we're doing today is making characters. And I know that a lot of the time when people do role-playing games online, this is the part they skip, because it's like, yeah, you don't want to sit in here and watch us do character creation stuff, because it's usually in person there's a fair bit of like quiet head down writing and what have you, but it's so integral to the way Burning Wheel works that I would not be able to sleep at night if we just skipped over it. And people think that's me being hyperbolic. It's not. I would just be like, we shouldn't have skipped it. Shit.
You'd be a nervous wreck.
I would be. I'd never be able to do it.
Inconsolable.
I know. So we're going to do that. We're going to make characters for our campaign. There will be like quiet time that I can keep an eye on chat and answer questions about the game. It's going to be just kind of a chill hangout while we all come down off the adrenaline terror of wondering if we were going to get the stream live or not. And the idea is just to like get everything set up, because in Burning Wheel, to make the game really, like to make it work, we need the setting, which we'll talk about a little bit at the beginning. We need a situation, which is like the overarching thing that's like happening in that setting. So like the setting for Star Wars is outer space, right? It's a bunch of planets in outer space. The situation is the Empire sucks and some people have decided to not let them be shitty anymore and they're gonna knock them out. And then we need characters. So we need our Luke and our Leia and our Han and our Lando and what have you. So that's what we're gonna be doing today. So we've done a little bit of work in advance, talking kind of off over the time since we've been planning this session about what we want to do for a setting. So talked a little bit about that. Talked a little bit about the situation. So why don't we start there? Like let's talk a little bit about some of the conclusions we kind of came to. You know, because the questions that I've been getting are like, what's the setting and what are the characters like? And we can't answer the character part yet, but we can talk a little bit about that. So by default, Burning Wheel has a built-in kind of implied setting built on the life paths. So because the life paths exist, because you could be a lawyer or a doctor or a knight or a tiliator or whatever.
Or an outcast.
Yeah, or an outcast, a rogue wizard. Those things exist in our setting, and the game is sort of aimed generally like a mortar rather than a sniper rifle at this kind of Middle Ages Europe kind of space based loosely on generally Western fantasy like Tolkien or Le Guin or whatever. And then we can deviate from that pretty easily. And we've talked a lot about how we want the campaign to be like pretty cosmopolitan. So we're going to set it primarily, not exclusively, but primarily in the world's like big city. And it's like a port city. It's the seat of government. And that's important because we're at the tail end of a pretty significant civil war, where the peasant class, spurred on by a sort of new kind of firebrand religion, started this uprising, rose up against the aristocracy, kind of French Revolutioned them, and now are dealing with the ramifications of like, okay, cool, you ousted the evil empire. What the hell are you gonna do now? Like,
congratulations, you're the evil empire.
Yeah, exactly. Now you have become the Thing. Are you gonna be a better version of the Thing than the ones before? We talked a little bit about the sort of available technology, and if I'm like, this is all me operating off of memory from conversations we've had over the course of a month. So if I'm missing stuff, or you guys want to jump in and be like, actually, we changed that, remember? Or like, you have some input on this stuff, feel free to interrupt me, or I'll just keep talking forever. We were going with like the nobles had access to kind of like late Middle Ages stuff, like maybe some firearms. Like black powder is a thing that they had access to, yeah?
I think so. I think we said that.
Yeah, it's not like all the peasants got guns and that's how they rose up. It was like, there's like noble duelists and stuff, but it's not really considered like a weapon of war necessarily.
Nothing's mass produced, it's all handmade.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Plate armor is a thing, but again, very expensive. Everybody else, I think, is probably like on the further end of the formerly referred to as the Dark Ages. What is it, the classical medieval period now? My history is terrible, but so more like, you know, iron helms and broad shields and like Viking style like axes, right? Like Normans on the far end. And that's probably like the peasants were probably pikemen and axe wielders and what have you. And then there's this sort of like nebulous middle class that had to ally with the peasants to be like, we would like to survive and we're merchants and we have stuff, so yeah, we'll help you.
Yeah. Don't kill us too, please.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. And we also talked about, for both simplicity's sake and for the sake of kind of focus in the game, to just take human life paths. So it's not going to be like a Fellowship of the Ring kind of deal. But the other, like, orcs, dwarves, and elves exist, sort of, but we don't, like, they're elsewhere? Is that kind of what we had established?
I think so. That's kind of what we established, yeah.
Okay. Cool. So maybe there's like some suspicion that like the elves had a hand in the revolution, or like, but it's more like conspiracy theories and stuff. It's not like you're going to see a dwarf just like walking down the street.
Right, right.
Cool.
Yeah, in that delightful document that we went through, where the elves live is like with a question mark, and under the topic, what's the name of a faraway place that folks talk about, dream about, or mutter under their breath about? So,
nice.
Yeah, it's like the home of conspiracy.
Elfland and stuff, and be like, those damn peasants would never have won this war if they didn't have some kind of advantage. So it must have been that.
Right. I also like that as a thing that's really kind of like bubbled up in the aftermath of the Civil War. That like, yeah, the elves were like whatever beforehand, like, but like we're doing our own thing over here, and now there's a reason to really hate the outsider. Do you know what I mean? Like, oh, it must have been those elves, because it couldn't have been the peasants, and also we need someone else to still hate, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. People who are like taller or paler or have pointier ears than the people around them are starting to be like scoped out in a bad way. Cool. Okay. And then we also talked a little bit about, because if you're playing a game with primarily human life paths, you got to work out sorcery, you got to work out faith. So I'm not sure, did we come down on a particular thing with faith? I think sorcery was like it exists, but it's like a birthright, not a skill you learn. Is that a thing that we had decided?
I think so. That sounds
I feel
right.
like we talked about, like, there are wizards, but they're off somewhere doing their own thing and they don't care about us.
Yeah, that was my impression.
It's just like a rare
Yeah,
thing.
they're not like integrated with society, they're reclusive.
Yeah.
Right.
So like maybe someone in the party uses magic, but they would have had to have been this like weird outside person who brought them.
Sure. And that's the kind of thing that can tie in when we start talking about the cultures of the world, and we like start doing cultural traits. Like it may be that like only the Stygians have magic and it's like an ancient thing from far away. Cool. Okay. And then as a situational thing, so we talk a little bit about setting, and we'll fill those gaps in as we make our characters, and you know, we need more of this information. From the situation, you were all involved either directly or indirectly in the last thing, the assassination of the former reigning dictator, whether it's a king or the queen or the hierarch or the emperor, whoever, whatever we decide to call that person. They were assassinated, they were killed, and when they died, they laid a curse on both the people specifically involved and on the new regime in general. It's like these dying curses that kings spew forth when they get murdered.
Those who follow me, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, exactly. Those who spilled my blood will be forever cursed. And so we're in the middle of, and I don't know, maybe that was like 6 months ago or a year ago. I don't know. I think that we're still in like the post-war, but like the resistance isn't quite stomped out. Like we had talked about nobles having retreated into the hinterlands to live on their manors and stuff. And
it's
like
kind of like rural versus urban thing, where like they had kind of retreated and the war is effectively over, and they're happy to like continue farming and still being rich and safe out there, but maybe there was still some tension.
Well, and yeah, like they have fortified castles that they can be like, well, my team lost, but I'm still in my castle and I'm going to fight this war forever.
Yeah, or maybe there's like kind of a provisional, like no one really like won outright. It's just like the peasants got about like 70% of what they wanted, and we're just gonna call it here because war is horrible.
Yeah. Okay, so in the interim between the big showy death of the hierarch, whoever was in charge, and now things have not gone so great. And not just in a like obvious like it's hard to come back from war thing, but like the crops aren't doing very well. Maybe there's been a spate of bad weather. You know, the new government is having a hard time reopening supply lines to their allied countries. And of course, people blame it on the curse. They're like, if you hadn't done this, you horrible people, everything would just be fine, right? But
the monarch's curse was an inside job.
That's right. Magic can't melt steel beams, Andrew.
That's right. Right.
I need to leave. Bye.
So, I mean, that's like a thing, right? Again, it goes back to the elf thing where they're just like, you used cursed elf magic. The king was right. And so generally the regime has a curse sort of laid upon it, but I think that you four and 8 others, either by directly, maybe one of you is the one who turned the knife, but you're all directly involved somehow in the death of the hierarch, and you've been like physically, magically like cursed. And so all of you, somewhere on you, like on your hand or your neck or like somewhere, you bear the brand of the curse. It's the mark of a wheel with broken spokes.
So it's a real thing at the very least.
At the very least, that's a thing. Yeah.
Oh boy. Okay.
Now you haven't noticed any like everything else is like maybe that happened, maybe it didn't. Like it's hard to say, but the mark is real, and so I mean that's a thing that the game could become at least in part about. Like let's figure this curse out and try to solve it, or it might just be like this is a superstition. Fuck that. We have a government to run.
Right.
And so your characters are soldiers and informants and whatever, and the war is over, and so you're trying to find your place in the world. And we talked about, for sort of inspirations for the game, we talked a little bit about The Wire in terms of kind of, I think, Andrew, this was your reference initially. Do you want to talk a little bit about what kind of that was for you, like why you were thinking about The Wire?
Well, because I guess one of the big things about it is like, if you envision our characters as the cast very broadly, it's not like we're all the cops or something. It's just like everyone is pursuing, a means of survival within this same setting, and it's about how we are connected and how we cross paths, and so that the story can kind of grow beyond that. Like in the various seasons of The Wire, they're always introducing new parts of the world by way of characters, and so like if we ever want to be like, cool, we're gonna do a season like over here with these things that are related, connected by characters or whatever, it gives us a lot of room to kind of explore the whole setting very thoroughly by way of the characters, which is what Burning Wheel is all about. So
yeah, and Burning Wheel moves in arcs so that when we reach 12 episodes or so, we'll be able to say, okay, this arc is done, let's do the trait vote, and then we'll move on and see where the next piece is. And like in The Wire, the game starts at very street level, and we might end up going further into the government stuff, we might end up on the religious side. Like we're gonna allow ourselves some space to kind of explore the setting as we go, so we don't have to know everything about it right away. Are there any other general setting things that you guys want to talk about?
Did we decide to commit to Western dark fantasy kind of, because you would kind of come back with a pretty strong...
Yeah, I mean aesthetically,
I'm cool with that. Aesthetically, I'm not saying we shouldn't do that. I'm just trying to make sure I have it in my head.
Yeah, I think aesthetically yes, but I would explicitly like to avoid Witcher syndrome where we're just pretending to be Europe. Yep. Because that's valid, that's a thing you can do, but I don't really want to. So
Can I put forward an idea that would maybe help with that? So one thing that I really like is that we're like, hey, this is like a medieval setting, but we're kind of juxtaposing the French Revolution into it, which is a much more modern period in terms of political thought, that kind of stuff. Wouldn't it be interesting to be like, okay, we're in a medieval setting in terms of the weaponry, etc., but politically it's a little bit more sophisticated, and maybe also from places that don't have a medieval tradition. What would medieval America look like, right?
Right.
The idea of these different attitudes towards, government, property, how what is valued, what would it look like to have a medieval society that was more a reflection of North American values and traditions in so much as they are. I mean, I know it's a colonial tradition, but
right.
The weird alternate history version of medieval, white America. And maybe they're all a bunch of colonialist assholes too, and that's totally, part of what makes America what it is.
Yeah,
but
and I think that by building a setting in which we focus on the cosmopolitan aspects of it, and maybe the city has changed hands over 1,000 years, so that you build up this strata of different cultures have occupied it at any given time. And I think that there's historical precedent for that too, where it's Gauls and Romans and modern British, and there's space to have some of that. So yeah, everybody is we have a culture that's not homogenous.
I kind of like the notion of medieval New Orleans or medieval New York, where this place has been in a bunch of different hands. And over the course of a few hundred years, like, people don't move. When the new king takes over, the people who live here are still here, and they're just like, oh yeah, I guess I wave this flag now.
Right.
Like, I own a bakery, I can't leave. You know.
Yeah.
And I kind of like that. That's almost like post-colonial medieval, like, which doesn't make sense. Like, I understand historically, materially, but
it's fantasy, right? We can get anachronistic and weird about it. So okay,
yeah. Or,
cool.
Pyroman 15 in the chat says Constantinople. I kind of like that too.
Yeah.
Kind of the city of crossroads. Right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And I mean, we'll talk a little bit more about this when we get into the culture traits and stuff. But
yeah,
cool. Well, let's talk about character concept, because that's the first stage in character creation. So when you're designing, I'll just read straight from the book. So when you're designing a character for a Burning Wheel game, it's best to start with an overall, like, rough idea, like a wily former slave hawker, a young headstrong wizard, a brutal knight, that kind of thing. You have a generalized idea of what your character is going to be, and you'll have lots of options to fill that out. So have a concept that you can twist and bend a little bit. And the concept should abide by two main guidelines. They should be feasible for the genre and style of the group, and should be tied into the situation at hand. So the situation being that you're all still kind of part of this, either the military directly or the new government. So you will have a mandate, and at least initially. Like, I don't see you becoming an independent or unit until like season 2 maybe. So you're still kind of like part of that situation. Maybe you're still hunting out nobles that are hidden, that kind of thing. And your character will be able to change. Your concept might not stay the same, but it should be tied to that situation.
Yeah.
So choose a character concept. You can either tie your concept you already have. So if you're like, I want to be a disgraced nobleman, you should think of how you can tie that into the situation, or you can look at the situation and find a character concept in it that you like. So like cursed celebrity. So someone who's like, yeah, I'm one of the 12 who are cursed. Fear me, I'm awesome, right?
Buy me free drinks.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Right. All of the members of the 12 are going to be different about the way they're handling their curse, and I could totally see that being one of them. Where one of them's just like, I am so important now. I'm just gonna go be a dandy and like go to all these bars and like tell stories about the war.
I'll show up at your like event if you pay me a little bit of money.
Yeah,
like, I'll totally be at your birthday party.
Oh my god.
So you're like a Jersey Shore cast member.
Yeah, what a clown. That's awesome. So that kind of thing, you can tie the situation to the character, or you can do it the other way around. So I'll give you all a minute to think about that. Let's take a short break. We'll just do like a 3-minute break. I'm gonna grab some water, and when we get back, I'll switch over to the Roll20 screen, and we can get into the character sheet and all the nitty-gritty, and we'll spend the rest of the session doing that stuff.
Sounds good.
Cool.
Sound good? Okay, cool. So audience, stick around. We will be right back. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. We are all tiny now. Look at how small we are. And that's because we need room for character sheets. So I've assigned all of you characters in Roll20. You should be able to see them individually in your thing. Andrew's character, Austin's character, Colin's character, and Sylvan's character. Can you guys see all those?
I see mine. I see them as assigned to me, yeah.
Yeah, I can see all of them. So I'll just pop back and forth between them. If you want to show me anything, I should be able to pop open your character sheet. Andrew, I'm going to use yours as the example. So if you open your character sheet, you'll see there's 3 sub-tabs. There's bio and info, there's character sheet, and there's attributes and abilities. Pretty much everything's on character sheet.
Okay.
And when you click that bad boy, it will take you to your sub-sheet, which has information, stats and skills, combat, and the character burner, which is what we are going to start with. So
okay.
Get out your tomes, and we will be referring to page 82. So the way the characters work in Burning Wheel, they are an assembly of life paths. So all your number stuff is generated by selecting these life paths. The Manish life paths that we're using, the human stock life paths, all can be found in sort of the midsection of the book, so you'll need that. But do we have character concepts? Do y'all have those? Let's start there.
I do. I kind of like sent it to you in a fevered rush the other night. I was like, I have it.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I'm pretty sure at the end of that string of messages, you're like, this made more sense in my head. Okay, I'm going to bed.
I did. That is what happened.
Yeah.
So I decided I wanted to play a character who was at one point connected to the old guard, the kind of old hierarchy. Was kind of born as a bastard into a noble house, and then left it, kind of, you know, as he realized like that he was not going to be able to do anything as a bastard. Kind of left it in a kind of a bitter, cynical huff. And then lived out in the woods or out in the who knows where. I don't know if it's the woods. I don't know if it's like the university somewhere, but somewhere that isn't the traditional like center of civilization, where he like studied with like a kind of Zhuge Liang figure, a Marx figure, a kind of like someone who's like a little esoteric compared to what the standard is, and picked up the kind of beginnings or a version of the populist philosophy that the rest of the revolution would lead, and then he came back and like managed to claim power inside of his noble house, and then use that power to throw the rest of the hierarchy under the bus.
Nice.
So he's kind of like the inside man who I kind of think no one's really sure, including him, if he fucked over the rest of nobility because he was jealous and bitter, or because
so awesome.
he had like actual philosophical, moral, ethical beliefs. Do you know what I mean?
So there's a bit of that like teenage Marxist thing where you're like, of course you hate capitalism, you're poor.
Right, exactly.
Right. So there's a bit of like, yeah, you're the bastard, and you're like, of course you hate the nobility because they rejected you, and now you've got your revenge.
And now I have my revenge, and now what? Like, good. Now what? Good job, buddy. He's also a little older, right? I think he's like in his 30s at this point. He's like kind of. I think he came back he left as an angsty teen and came back as like a kind of manipulative adult.
Yeah. So what'll make your character slightly older would be leads, because you're going to be in and out of different life paths, and then if you take more academic life paths, which it sounds like you're going to do, that'll increase your character's age. Yeah. Cool. Okay, so if you had to sum up your character like concept, what would you say? Like former noble, like.
Yeah, I think former noble is the thing that, of the 12, I suspect that's like the thing that makes him unique, unless the other characters in the party or that you have other NPCs in mind that are also going to be former nobles. But I think like former noble, philosopher sellout, like I don't know, something that former noble is the
I like that bastard philosopher sellout.
I also, here's the other thing I like about him being a bastard is that I think that one of the things that you talked about in your introduction to Burning Wheel video was that traits are good because they encourage you to get your character into trouble. Yeah. And I like Bastard here because in our setting, Bastard is flipped. Traditionally, Bastard would get you into trouble because you're not quite noble enough, Here, it's proof that I still have ties.
Right. It's like
that was thrown out.
It's like the half elf problem, where it's not that your problem isn't that you're half an elf; it's that you're still half human.
I'm still half human.
Right.
Exactly. And in fact, like I almost think that I feel like the nickname for this character is like the bastard twice, because I kind of bastardized myself twice.
So
I kind of threw myself away I like got tossed out of the nobility in a sense twice. I kind of. That's where I'm leading.
That's all I needed. So, all I need another role-playing game with a character in it named twice. I'm gonna get confused. Nobody else is allowed to have names that are the same as Apocalypse World, or I'm gonna get really confused and turned around. Cool. Okay. It looks like you have a concept, Andrew. Do you want to go next?
Yeah. So I would really like to be the person who killed the king.
We can see that on your character sheet.
Yeah, that's what I want to be.
Yeah.
So I want my character to be some kind of like fighty person, and for them to be really like awful, just a bad person, like has a gambling problem, which isn't necessarily like you're a bad person, but like also has a gambling problem, is just a miserable jerk to everyone, like is this like just really wound up, like angry, murderous dude.
Miserable shit. Well, and we talked a little bit when you were first talking about this, about the gambling thing, where like gambling is seen as kind of a bourgeois habit, and like it's an affectation of the upper classes, which no longer really exist or shouldn't, I guess, in the eyes of the. It's a counter-revolutionary behavior, Andrew.
Yeah, exactly.
Money could be better put to use helping people.
Yeah. It's like the man that should have been a hero of the revolution and is now just this like dark stain they can't get out. You know, it's just like, fuck, it's that guy again. Like, he gives us all a bad name.
I love it.
Yeah.
Cool, I dig it. All right, so you're such a burnout. All right, Colin or Sildon, either of you have concepts for your characters that are ready? Or sort of ready, at least.
I was thinking I wanted to...
You're super quiet right now, Jess.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can barely hear you.
Is that better?
Nope.
Better?
Nope.
Is the mic like up or anything? Or away from your head?
Oh my god.
There we go, yes.
You muted it.
That never happened. So moving on. I was thinking I wanted to be. I'm definitely sure I want to be like a peasant.
Mm-hmm.
And
you're the legit
prole. Thinking, the baker's daughter, the baker of the previous king.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not sure of my connection to the assassination at this point, but there is like this sort of underground group of tradesmen that got together and doesn't necessarily have a strong motive this way or the other, but they do self-defense. They get together to teach themselves how to protect themselves, essentially.
Cool.
So yeah, that's as
nice.
far as I got with that.
I like the idea of some of the cursed might not know why they're cursed at all, right? Like the king died and you're somewhere else, and all of a sudden like this bad thing has just happened to you, and you don't necessarily know your connection to it.
Yeah,
that can be a thing.
Man,
it's more like part of this larger conspiracy.
You can also do that too, or maybe it's like maybe your father was involved somehow. Maybe before they killed the king, they poisoned him, but your dad died, and so it got passed on to you, like the whole sins of the father thing, right?
So, I like that. There's like a nice double. There's like a mirroring there of the sins of the father, right? Like in your case, it would be literally the sins of the father, and like there's also this metaphorical, like, what do we do after we've inherited the crown in a sense? We're stuck with this shit. I like that a lot, actually.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay.
How long has it been since the king was killed? Do we know this yet?
Short enough that there's still a lot of like uncertainty about the new regime, but long enough that it wasn't like yesterday.
Okay.
Okay, cool. And then Colin, do you have a sort of general concept for your character?
Yeah, I've got like kind of a scattered concept.
Sure.
So I was also thinking of playing a man in his like late 40s, maybe early 50s, who also holds a position close to the, I guess, king is what we've sort of landed on, right?
I mean, I think it's still a stand-in for just like assassinated power figure.
Yeah, that guy.
Yeah,
El
but in this
Presidente.
case, someone with some sort of like solitary vocation that's associated with the king or royalty or whatever, but is not like a politically driven role, like something like a gamekeeper or like a blacksmith or something, like someone who's sort of like part of the entourage but not really politically involved.
Okay.
And I was thinking somehow I have sort of like I was convinced to agree with sort of the disillusionment with the crown, I guess, but not to the effect of assassination. Like I wanted to say that I was like led to believe that he would be sort of deposed in a, you know, sort of you have to step down kind of way,
Right,
and
sure.
I didn't realize it was going to
Listen, there's a farm out in the country.
Right,
It's
the
a
king.
Yeah.
The king is upstate.
He's upstate.
Aw.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I'm trying to play like a sort of torn angle here where it's like,
Yeah.
you know, maybe somewhere deep down I suspected these people who convinced me to maybe provide some sort of important information about the location of
You're like the
ruler.
accidental turncoat, right? Like
Yeah, like
cool.
so, so I'm just thinking something like made me feel that I'm fed up with the rule, but not on like a really radical level. And
Was it-
I basically provided some information that ultimately led to the downfall.
Was it really personal for you? Was it just like a shitty, like he just treated you shitty for a couple of months, and in anger, we got you to admit where the secret passage was?
I'm much more inclined to the latter, because something more like sort of spur of the moment and like tragic.
Yeah.
Something that's more like dark. I was thinking if we really wanted to get dark, like maybe somehow I was even supportive of the king, but maybe my family and wife or someone was not, and I sort of begrudgingly decided, okay, you know, I'll help these guys out who are trying to overthrow, but
So maybe you didn't take the rebellion maybe as seriously as you should have.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's
cool.
where I'm going.
Yeah,
So you're the dude from like Fargo, or there's a character like in Happy Valley or Burn After Reading.
Mm-hmm.
He's like,
I like how, like everybody else is
stumbled into
Game
like-
of Thrones, but you're in the Coen Brothers version.
Yeah.
which are still really like dark.
Oh,
and
super
sad,
dark,
right?
yeah.
But they're very like humble in a way as well. Like people getting in over their heads, right?
Cool. Okay, yeah, and we can explore this stuff more in like you don't have to have a fully fleshed out idea of your character's participation until it comes up on screen, right?
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Okay, so I think that's probably a good place for y'all to start. You may want to tweak or adjust it as you go. But now what we're going to do is choose life paths. So these are the history of your character leading up to basically the current situation. We're going to pick where you were born, not like a location, but what strata of society you were born, like if you were born a noble or born a peasant or whatever. And then you're going to figure out where you went from there. And it doesn't sound like anyone has necessarily an idea for, like, I want to be a knight, because to be a knight you have to specifically follow a certain path.
Right.
So you guys, it sounds like, have a little bit of room to take a look at that. So life paths will give you a bunch of stuff on your character sheet. So you can see here, life paths give you, they'll have a name. There's a time, which is the amount of time it takes to go through that part of your life. If it says lead here, that means, is it a lead in from another class, basically? So if you were born noble and then lose your nobility and become a peasant, then that's a lead. So you're going from one setting to another. It'll tell you how many resources you get. And then stats. So if it says +1P or +1M, you can put a 1 next to either of those. Sorry, I'm defacing your character sheet, Andrew. If it says M and P, just put the numbers next to both of them. If it says M or P, you have to pick. This means mental or physical. So your character either got better mentally or better physically because of it.
Is the slash basically or?
Yeah, slash means or in the life path. It'll say leads, which will tell you where you can go from there. So if you become a criminal, then you can't go right back into being a noble. You have to kind of work your way back that way if you want. Mm-hmm. It'll tell you skills, of which there are two kinds. There's general skills, which you'll put in the general column, and there's your regular skill points you put there, and it'll tell you what skills your character will learn at this part of their life, and you'll type those in here. So you'll want to include everyone in order on this list. So that's why we gave you so many spaces. And this will be what you choose from when you go to spend those skill points. And then last, just like the skills, you'll have traits. It's a number of points, and you'll write them in down here. So like, for example, if you look at page 84, that shows you a couple of elf life paths, just as an example. Mm-hmm. So Citadel-born takes 20 years to go through. It takes 20 years for you to be an infant as an elf. It'll give you 7 resource points. It doesn't give you any stat bonus. You can lead into the Wilderlands or stay in the Citadel. It gives you 5 general skill points and 2 specific skill points. And then you would write down Elven Script and Sing. If it's the first skill on the list, so for Andrew's character, like, let's pretend you're learning Elven Script and Sing. And Sing, the first one from the life path, click this required box, because you have to open that skill. So remember to come back and do that so you can check that. So the next life path, if you became a Wanderer, you'd get Song of Paths, and you'd have to check that, but the rest of the skills you can fill in. So this character wouldn't have to learn how to sing, but they would definitely need to take Song of Paths for their second life path. And again, like, I'll lay this all out for you, and then we'll go through individually, and I'll just let you guys ask questions, and I'll jump between people's character sheets, and we can figure that stuff out. And then the same with traits. So down at the bottom, you'll have a list of traits. These will be, again, the first one you have to take. The rest of them are optional. You can just put the required checkbox next to it. So like nobles, for example, you have to take noblesse obligée, I think.
Mark of Privilege.
Mark of Privilege, yeah. It's the knight or something that takes that other one. You have to take Mark of Privilege, but you can, if you want to pay for later, also take your Eminence, your Grace, or whatever.
Right.
So we're playing 4 life path characters, so you'll get to pick 4 of these. So I'll find the page where they all start. Let me grab my book here, because I'm now in the actual character creation section. So you'll find all of those for humans in slightly farther back in the book, and this will walk you through how you make all of your choices for your character. Let's see if we can find it here. So many skills. Here we go. The Kingdom of Man. So these start on page 162, 163. Yeah, cool. I've got a bunch of them written down here. So 162. That's where they start. So your setting options are peasant. You can be born city-born, so in the city dweller setting. You can be noble-born, which is 177. And then you can also be, I think, son of a gun is the other one. So you'd be born on a ship. Oh, you know, you can be born slave too, which doesn't sound like anybody is, but that's an option. Cool. Okay. So
should we be marking down the traits that we don't plan to take that are from our life paths, or just the
required because they're going to be cheaper if you do decide to take them.
Like down the road.
Yeah, down the road, exactly. Okay. At least during this process. If you don't end up taking them, then you don't have to worry about them. At the end of the day, yeah. Yeah, at the end of this session. Cool. Okay, so it sounds to me like Austin, you're going to be noble-born, probably?
Yep. Yeah, I'm definitely doing noble-born, and then bastard, because bastard says that you have to take it second. Mm-hmm. And then from there, I'm going to use the outcast lead from Bastard
Mm-hmm.
to go to Thinker.
15 years of thinking.
15 years of thinking in the and wherever the outcasts are. We'll figure that out. Maybe when we get to resources, we'll figure out what the hell I was doing. And then from there, I'm jumping because Thinker has an any lead, which I love. And I'm going to go from there to Lord.
Okay.
Back to Noble, the Noble setting.
Awesome. Cool. Okay. So like Colin, you have it sounds like from your concept, you have a pretty broad set of options for your character. Did you have any particular Born setting that you wanted to start with?
No, I don't have anything in mind. I mean, I didn't get this far. Just to be honest.
No, that's
sorry. I hope it doesn't. No one should be like me. I am the worst. I just like I
Austin
just
over-prepared.
Austin, you're making us all look really bad.
Sorry.
And I really just mean you're making me look really bad.
There
I'm
needs
still
to
trying
be
to
like
figure
a
out
burning wheel book on tape so I can absorb all of this.
It's okay.
And do it while you sleep.
There's a reason.
Yeah.
There's a reason why it's all front loaded. Like once you have your characters, you just have to click buttons when you roleplay, and then you're good to go.
So when did the dungeons and the dragons happen?
Well, there's not gonna be any dragons, but if you play your cards right, you might end up in a dungeon. That's definitely
Just be
possible.
born a slave, and then you're already in a
Yeah.
dungeon.
Dungeon born.
So with me not being prepared here, do you have any, based on my like weird description, did anything come to mind?
I generally default to city-born if I'm playing a human and don't really know where I'm from, because that's like the most general. Like you could be lower class, middle class, upper class, doesn't matter. You were born in the city. You're not a noble and you're not a peasant. Like you can narrow those down. So if you want to be a peasant, take peasant-born. If you want to be a noble, take noble-born. But if you don't, city-born is probably fine. The other ones are like kind of on the weird side. So like born on a pirate ship, or like I was born a slave. Like those are valid, but you pretty much know you're going to take them when you make your character concept. Yeah.
I might be born a slave, guys.
Yeah.
What about this villager setting?
So
oh wait, that's a setting.
Yeah, so villager. What page are you looking at?
It's 165.
Cool.
I mean, you can be village born though.
Yeah, you can be. Yeah, there is village born. Yeah, so it's like peasant is like a farm out in the middle of nowhere, maybe like a mile or two from like you got a bunch of fields, but you're not really in a village. Village is the next step up, where there's like a bunch of buildings together in one place, and then city born is the city, and those they vary slightly, but not by too much. So, are you from? Is your character from the big city? Are you from like a little town in the outskirt provinces, or are you like?
Yeah, I'm thinking not big city actually.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, maybe that's where I end up, kind of, but
Sure.
not to begin.
Okay, so it sounds like village born.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, so you'll put village born on that first life path line. Throw a 10 in time. 4 in resources. You leave lead blank. It's so awesome, like being able to just like keep up with this stuff in real time. Like I can just look at all your character sheets while you're looking at them.
Yeah.
Usually when I do like IRLs, like AFK character burning, I have to stand on my feet the whole time and just walk around the table the whole time. So yeah, you'll have 4 in your resources, no stat bonuses or penalties, 3 general skill points, and 2 general trait points, so just 2 in the trait column. And the great thing about this is those points, you can use them for any traits and any skills you want later. Being born in the village doesn't necessarily imply anything about your character, the same way being a noble would.
Okay.
Cool. So then, what do you think? Do you want to be peasant born, village born? Where's your character from?
Well,
Or are you like an urban baker?
I'm a peasant, but I'm like a royal baker, right?
Okay.
So would I be city born in that case?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, like I mean that's the thing. Like if you're a middle, like when we think of bakers, we're either thinking of like the one person in the village who has a stove big enough to make loaves of bread,
Yeah.
or we mean like you're making wedding cakes for rich people. Right? Like, is it which?
Yeah.
Which it sounds to me like you're leaning towards the like wedding cakes end of the spectrum.
Yeah, I guess so.
Cool.
And then you're in like the Baker's Guild, like it's more of a
Oh yeah,
established.
Yeah, probably.
totally. And if
There's
it's
this-
if it's one of those like medieval civilizations that's been around a while, you're probably not even just in the Baker's Guild. It would be like the Frosters Guild or something, right? Like there's enough
love
bread.
it.
Specialization.
Yeah.
There's this thing. So I've been watching someone play through all of Shenmue because I'm a broken person, and
Hey, it's broken people like you that let people like me have a job. So
it's true. And early on in that, there's this thing where it's like so that's a game that takes place in Japan. The first game takes place in a small city in Japan, a small town in Japan, and you have to go interview or talk to a bunch of Chinese immigrants who might know something about the guy who kills your dad. And early on, they introduce you to this group called the Three Blades, which when you hear that, you're like, oh man, the Three
Right.
Blades, like that is some like badass like ninja shit. Like no, like it's the butchers, the barbers, and I forget what the third blade is.
Yeah.
But like it's three you know,
Trade.
kind of professions, three trades that anybody could that anyone from China could come and do if they were skilled enough, because the kind of like entry level cost was low, because they're like, oh, just a pair of scissors or a knife and some meat, you know. And I actually really like those sorts of professional organizations that have like a real, there's like a material reason for that to exist, right? Like, oh yeah, we're all trying to get our feet on the fucking ground here. It's not always just the kind of medieval story of it's a bunch of merchants who are trying to like get together for economic power. It can also just be like, listen, this is the way we were able to survive. We'll hang out and talk
we're
sometimes.
closing ranks.
Yes.
Yeah.
so
Turns out
you'll
it's hard to trade in Japan.
so you want to be city born then. So that'll go in your first life path
Okay.
slot there. So change that to city born. It takes 12 years to grow up in the city, so you get two extra years over if living in the village. For lead, you can leave it blank.
Okay.
You get 10 resources. No stat bonus, no change there. And you get 4 general points, so in the gen column put 4, and 1 in the trait column.
Okay.
Okay, cool. So to pick your second life path, so the thing your character did after they stopped being an infant and started being like a real productive member of society, you can choose any life path from the setting you're already in. So you can pick any city dweller one, or you can lead to another setting and pick a path from there. So like for your character, you can take a city dweller life path, or you can move to servitude, court, noble, or outcast. City has lots of places to go, so everybody should have those as options. Andrew, are you gonna take slave, born slave?
I just want to clarify, like, how brutally shitty is it to be born a slave? How bad is it?
It's pretty bad.
How
Well,
slavey.
let's talk about slave born, because there is a trait, one of the slave ones called broken. Yeah, should we talk about the broken trait?
Sure.
Okay.
We should also, yeah.
So,
let's talk about the broken
I mean, we
trait.
can talk about this trait specifically because none of you will get traits necessarily from your. I guess born noble will, but traits are things that are just like inherently true about your character. They might go away. You might become unbroken over time, but they're ways that your character is going to get themselves into bad situations or trouble. So they'll be useful to you if they are dynamic and dramatically interesting. So broken sucks for your character because it does bad things to you when you're in, a rough spot. But it's also really easy to be in trouble or have a hard time because your character is broken, right? So broken is on 316, if you look that up for me. And there are basically 3 types of traits. There's call-ons or die traits, and those allow you to do like little mechanical things sometimes with your character. So you might get to reroll failed dice on something, or you might get a bonus to a particular kind of action. And then there's character traits, and character traits just let you say things about your character. Now, broken is a die trait, and if you are broken, if you were born a slave, you have -1 obstacle. Anyone, I guess it's not you. Anyone who tries to intimidate, interrogate, command, or seduce you, they all get a -1 to their obstacle. It's easier. Your will is broken. People are good at pushing you around, not because they're good at it, but because you are used to taking orders. Theon got this trait at some point in Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you have to take broken. So at least at the beginning of the game, that's true. But it doesn't mean you're a mindless automaton, right? It just means that if somebody tries to push you around, you're more likely to just say yes. Yeah.
And so how do I know that I have to take broken?
It's the first trait on the list.
It's always required.
Yeah.
And then I have 3 points, so I can take 2 more traits.
You'd set those points aside, write down all the traits, and then later when we come back to spend those trait points, you can spend them on those or on other things from different life paths.
And then it doesn't let it. The only specific skill it gives me is slavery wise.
Yeah. So you have to take slavery wise, but
And
you get more points.
-1 to my stats?
Does it say
Is that
-1? Does it say -1p?
Yeah, -1 m/p.
Yeah, so you pick. Either being a slave either made you mentally less capable or physically less capable.
Okay, now, so I'm down with this.
I was gonna say, like, being born a slave is like kind of hard mode, but
Real talk.
yeah.
But I think it will be.
I was gonna say, yeah. Turns out.
I think it's interesting for this character to be that guy who like has just been like shit on his whole life, and then like by some weird fluke, like he's not even that good, but he just happens to be the guy that like.
Well, and it makes sense, right? Because like they need somebody to murder a king. Obviously, the guy that takes orders well, like somebody told you, like go kill that guy.
Man.
And like maybe like we were kind of a suicide squad, or like,
Right.
and most of us did die, and like I just happened to by luck. So I want there to be something uncanny about the character as well.
Well,
like,
and that's what your other traits will allow you to do,
So, yeah.
and your other life paths.
try to build that in.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely like the idea that he's like lame, like he has a prosthetic leg or something. Like he's super.
That's
fucked
a
up.
that's a trait you can buy later.
Cool.
That's right.
So I'm broken.
In this game, you have to buy the fact you only have one leg.
I'm
get
a
that
buy
for
the fact
free.
that I have one leg.
Okay.
I have a cool peg leg though.
So speaking of the fact that you have to buy stuff,
Yes.
Traits cost points. That's correct?
Yeah,
Right? I'm not
if
wrong
it's
about
if it's a
that?
trait that's listed on any of your life paths, like at the end, you'll have a list of several traits, and those will be you have to buy the first one on the list, but the other ones will cost you 1 no matter what they actually cost. So like gifted is a perfect example of this, where if you have gifted on one of your life paths, it costs you 1 point and bam, sorcery.
Okay.
If you don't have it, if you're like, I want to be a knight, you have to have 6 points to spend to buy gifted otherwise.
I was confused because bastard costs 4, but I'm like,
Not for
whoa.
you. Not
It
if
only
you
costs
take
1 if
bastard.
I have that life path. I got you. Cool.
Exactly. Yeah.
Good.
Yes, as chat has so pointed out, you have to pay to make your character shitty.
But like, what you're doing is you're drawing a spotlight. You're putting the camera on that part of you.
Yeah.
You know, like.
Yeah, exactly. It's easier, I find at least, it's easier to roleplay negative stuff in an interesting way than it is to roleplay positive. Like, I'm the strongest guy in the land. Great, I don't care, that's boring.
That's why Superman comics aren't as interesting as other comics.
Every other comic ever written.
Literally other comics.
Yeah.
Or like the best Superman comics are the ones that dig into the negative bits of him, right? That like when he's like, you know, better than everyone else on the planet. Like, oh, that's a terrible thing to be. You know, like you're lonely.
Isn't that isolating, right? Like
isolating, exactly. Yeah.
Cool. Okay.
Getting gritty of it all.
So, second life pass for people who are not Austin.
I love books. Okay, I love books.
I'm not teasing you much.
That's so nice.
I'm just saying
Creepy
it's good. It's good that somebody's ready for this action.
I'm really not, for what it's worth. It's not.
So you have two. Okay, you basically got 2 choices here. You can either pick a life path you want to end with. So right before something happened, right before the game started, what was your character doing, and you can fill in the 2 in the middle, or you can work your way through your character's life chronologically. So like let's use So let's use your character as an example. So
Okay.
you're city-born, right? Now, is there a baker? There must be, because this is Burning Wheel.
There's like a tradesperson thing at the very least to end up at.
There's Baker. Yeah, Baker is Baker's a city-born. Now, did your character become a baker right away, or was baking, like professional baking, the last thing that you did?
I think I was probably born into it.
Okay. Now, were you given responsibility for joining the bakery as soon as you stopped being a child? Like, was it like, okay, you're 12 now, here's your apron, let's go make some cakes? Or was it like, hold on, you gotta go to school first and learn to be good at a bunch of other shit and then come back to me and then you can bake?
Would I have been educated?
Totally up to you.
I probably wouldn't
Yes.
have been.
Student is like a life path. It's
But again,
super
although-
useful.
Let's remember, like, we can make up this, we can do whatever we want. If you think it's interesting that you went to like, that in our setting people go to school, then we can do that. Like, you can pick that.
Yeah, it
Well,
doesn't
and
have to
we
be
kind of
like,
discussed that the setting that we're in
Mhm.
is scholarly. Like, that's something that we care about as a people.
Oh,
so
we did have that talk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess,
and there's like
yeah,
some
I
pretty advanced
totally went
political
to
talk
school.
in it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So did you go to
totally went
school right away, or did you do something else first? Like, I feel like city-born to student makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense to me.
Okay, so you wanna take student as your second one?
Sure, I'll take student.
Student is awesome because it has both read and write in it, and it gives you a ton of skill points. So student is
Education.
Can I interject with a little bit of setting stuff that just occurred to me?
Yeah.
Slash humble wreck. So I've been reading some Chekhov's short stories. 'cause I'm-
Oh,
like you just get that
But
under the
it's
wire.
interesting
Like plus, also
because-
I'm just gonna brag about some stuff.
it's a pre-revolutionary society in which the like intelligentsia is talking about the value of education. And a lot of Chekhov's stories about like, oh yeah, education's gonna like elevate all of us, it's gonna make us so rad, like these peasants out in the countryside, we need to educate them. I think it would be really funny if the nobility of our setting were the ones who taught the peasants all this like accidentally all this radical political thought.
Mhm.
Right.
We're like, oh, this is a great idea. Like, so there
Yeah.
was some initiative to like educate the people, and they thought that it would make like, oh, the nobles will float on top of the croon.
Right.
Yeah,
if,
turn-
if we
turns out-
educate the workers, they'll be able to work better for us.
Yeah, it turns
Yeah.
out turns
I
out when
love
you
it.
teach people to think, sometimes they don't like you anymore because they're
Yeah.
smart enough to know that you're full of shit.
Mhm.
Cool, I
So
like
yeah,
that.
like an act of arrogance. That was kind of how this
No,
came.
yeah, that's interesting.
Okay, so for student, now this is your first life path with like requirements. So student, you're gonna add in time of 4 years.
Okay.
You're gonna add in 5 points for resources. It's not a lead, so it doesn't add any extra time. You're gonna add in 1 under M because it makes you smarter being a student. Turns out.
Mental.
Yeah, 1 M there on the stat block.
Okay.
And then for skills, put 11 points.
What?
And
Okay.
these are, not general, this is just the skill column. And then put 3 points for traits.
Okay.
And then now I'll move on to somebody else and let you do all this typing, because as you can see on page 171, students get read, write, philosophy, rule of law, history, symbology, anatomy, astrology, inconspicuous,
Oh my
streetwise,
God.
and citywise, all available to buy points, spend points on. You just have to take write. You don't actually have to learn how to read if you don't want to, but at the very least, very least, your character learned how to write in the 4 years
Okay.
you were a student.
So
So
just like copied letters on your little chalkboard
Yeah.
for hours on end.
So start by putting write as a skill on the top of that column where it says
Okay.
5 skill. You see that? So put write
Uh-huh.
there, and then every one underneath, fill it with another one of those skills. So read on the next line, philosophy on the next line, rule of law, etc., and fill that all the way down. And then for traits, when you get there, you have to take rabble rouser. So put rabble rouser as your first one. That's required.
Wait, traits? Oh.
Yeah, it's further down. It's number
okay,
6.
Rabble. Rouser.
Yep.
Now, Adam, is that a tweak to the system to make it make sense for our setting, or is
No,
that
that's
actual-
that all students get rabble rouser by default.
Sure
That's funny.
do.
Turns out you
very
and Luke,
appropriate.
you and Luke Crane have the same idea about students.
He's got all
So
these ideas about stuff.
yeah,
Okay.
So yeah, so put rabble rouser, check the box for required.
Required, okay.
Yeah. And then you can leave it from there. But also put for the next two lines, optionally, you can take drunk and geometric, each for 1 point. So what it means
geometric.
What it means is...
Like, I'm literally physically geometric?
No, you have a mind for geometry.
Huh.
So all students are rabble rousers, some students are drunk, and not very many are geometric.
Okay.
So I'll read the description
I'll
read the description of the geometric trait for you because
yeah.
you know it's worth knowing in case you want to take it. So geometric. Let's see. Geometric is. Oh, it's a die trait. Cool. So it actually does stuff in the game. It's not just like your character's a nerd.
Cool.
Geometric is... geometry is the mother of invention. Forget what that other guy says. It gives you a +1 die to any skill that uses math or measuring.
Wow.
Yeah. So you're just good at math. Way to go, Pythagoras. You don't have to take that, but it would cost everybody else 3 points. It will only cost you 1 because you're a student, if you choose to take it. So
it makes you into the baker who can do everything by eye. You're just like, oh yeah, we just need this much.
Yeah, you would go before the king and hand cut a pie into perfect slices, like right down to the like millimeter. It's like, yeah, no problem. Check it out. Boom. It's exactly 1/8 of a pie. What? Cool. It's gonna make you. I mean,
you know what?
Baker.
This is my fantasy roleplay, and I would love to be good at math in some dimension. So
cool.
Love it. So good.
All right.
Like that.
Cool. Okay, so write down all those skills and all those traits in that list, and then start thinking about your third life path before you, whether you became a baker or whether there was something else first. Let's move on to our informer accidental revolutionary. Do you have any ideas? Like you were saying you wanted to be some kind of like groundskeeper or something like that?
Yeah, I was thinking something like outdoorsy or woodsy or something, and I've been trying to go through here and find like I'm trying to take the route of like figure out where I will end up and then work backwards.
Yeah.
And I don't know, maybe forester or something.
Oh
like
yeah,
that.
So I was gonna say like here's the thing, and if we were building a traditional like D&D party, we've got like you're shaping up to be the ranger here because. What'll happen if you take like forester or like any of the outdoorsy skills, you're going to be the one that's going to be able to do like sneaky stuff. You'll probably learn how to use a bow. And maybe you used to only hunt deer, but now you hunt the most dangerous game.
Tigers?
Nobles. Nobles with guns. So cool. Okay. So what setting is that one in? Forester?
I had it. And I lost it.
I think it's Noble Court.
Yeah, it's way down there.
Okay.
Yeah, you're right. Noble Court.
Okay.
So is that... Yeah.
So what you'll need to do to get to Noble Court is just find another life path that allowed you to move. Basically, we're going to chart your path from born in the village to works in the court, and how did you get there?
And there's 4. We're doing 4, right?
Yes, 4. You'll have 2 in the middle.
I find 2. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
So go ahead and write down just the same as I said before. Do you have a page number for Forester?
Yeah, 1 sec. It is.
I found it here. Okay. So it looks like you've got leads out, which you won't need because this is your last one. But you do the same thing. Basically, you have to take observation, but you can also take orienteering, foraging, survival, tracking, trapper, cudgel, staff, bow, poacher wise, and park wise. So write all those down on yon skill list, but only put the required box next to observation.
Okay.
Cool. Moose wise. So there's a skill. So if you ever see a skill in this game that's like something -wise, it's just like shit your character knows about. Like it's theory, it's understanding of certain things. It may not be practical application. Like the difference between someone who has swords and someone who has sword wise is like being able to tell the difference between a falchion and a scimitar versus knowing how to cut someone's arm off with a falchion or a scimitar. So if you have things like park wise or poacher wise, you can use them to deal with those things better, either by knowing about them flat out to be like, what do I know about this park? Or if you're chasing someone through a park, you can use that skill to make it easier for you.
Also, Adam, you'll like this one. It is appropriate for both Colin and Jess's characters to have moose wise, but for different reasons.
I hate you.
Moose wise. Well, I mean, it was a good attempt at a show, everybody. Thanks for trying.
Thank you. Good night.
Hey, someone's got to make puns before Adam does.
That's true. That's fair. I'm in focused teach brewing wheel mode. I can't fuck around. Okay.
Well, I'm debating around whether or not I'm going to be a thug, a desperate killer, or a bandit. It's a very
God.
Well, you could be all three. You could be. It's that's the desperation escalator, right? Like thug, petty thug, bandit, and hell, if you take thug now, you'd be a 12-year-old thug, which is
No, I know.
the
Like
best.
as a kid, my character is going to be a bandit or a thug or
Yeah.
a desperate killer.
Oh boy.
Yeah, into it.
It's a hard life for this guy.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm thinking about it a bit more in this idea of having something kind of uncanny about the character, like how he kind of like made it to where he got to. And I like the idea of him just like somehow being a survivor, like he's been through some shit.
Mm-hmm.
And like anyone else would have been dead and he's like almost dead, but he's not quite dead. Like imagine just like claw his way through with like sheer determination.
Well, and those kinds of things you can always tack on later as 1-point character traits, like not quite dead or uncanny, right? And that's the great thing about those 1-point character traits.
Yeah, you just make them up.
Yeah, wises are pretty damn awesome. I told you about, or maybe you played in that game where Jon Stone's character had Nightwise, so everything he did, he waited until the sun went down. Because he was like, I get an extra die. I can fork it into literally every skill as long as it's nighttime.
I'm pretty sure I was jamming that game. He was playing like a crazy noble.
Yeah, or it might have been Mouse Guard, which uses the same like the Wises, but yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So do you have so you're gonna take Thug as your second life path?
I'm thinking about it. So, Born Slave leads into Soldier or Outcast. So that means I can choose anything from
Soldier, Outcast, or Slave, yeah.
Yeah. So none of the other slave things really fit. I haven't looked through the soldier section.
You don't want to be a ditch digger? You don't want to be a field
harem slave?
Yeah, no.
No, I don't think it fits.
I mean, I like that there's a life path for you were in jail for 3 years. Like, it's not even like prisoner, it's just jail. You were in jail.
Where is the soldier setting? Is there such a thing?
Yes. The soldier one is profession. It's called Professional Soldier. And it's on 187. It's appropriate.
Okay.
Cool. Okay, so you think about what order you want to be a thug or a bandit in.
Yes.
So let's go back. Austin, you can interject at any time if you want, but I feel like you got your shit under control.
I don't because of one thing.
Let's take a
which
look.
is I think the age chart isn't adding up right.
Okay. How is that?
So my character's 30-something years old. 30. I had it somewhere. 38. Which puts me into this 36 to 40 range for both mental and physical.
Yeah.
But it looks like my physical pool is only 10. I don't know if there's something wrong with the sheet.
Should it be 14?
It should be at least 30. Yes, it should be 14.
You know why? Because you can't have a power, fort, agility, or speed lower than 1. So it auto spends 1 on each of those for you.
Gotcha. Same thing with the mental.
Mental, yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. That helps me a lot.
For your skills, you can, if they're based on 2 things, you can little checkbox. You can actually open a second option.
Christ.
Yeah, so you don't have to do the math yourself. So
that is the best.
Just check the box, and you'll be able to say if it's perception and something else. Check the box, add the second one in. There you go.
Perfect. Yeah.
and that should handle
All
it
these
for you.
things I have said is custom right now will now make more
Okay.
sense.
All
Thank
right.
you.
All right. Well, Austin's on advanced mode. Let's go back to. No, I'm proud of you. You're doing a good job. You're saving me the effort, and I only have to help 3 people make characters.
You're still gonna need to help me because I'm
yeah,
gonna get to a point where it's like, where do I spend these points?
I
Adam?
can
don't know.
I can troubleshoot your character for you.
Yeah.
Okay, so our baker to be, you've got your skill list written down there, and you got 2 traits. Throw drunk in there in that list too, because you can also be a drunk if you want.
Okay.
Just chuck that in there.
Alright.
That's cool. Just chuck drunk on there. You may not want to take it, but it's it's a
But
thing.
if you do,
Yeah. Okay. So, what happened after you were a student? So your character is 16 years old. They've just spent 4 years in school learning how to do a bunch of stuff, or maybe nothing. Totally up to you. What did they do then?
I mean, I probably just went directly into my trade.
Into
went back
bakery?
home and-
Okay. Now,
Yeah.
this is the thing. You can take the same life path twice if you want to. So you could just be city-born student, baker. But you get diminishing returns on the second take. So if you repeat a life path, let's see, just looking at this. If you repeat it, the second time you just get the whole life path over again, so it just doubles it. It's the 3rd or 4th time. So if you were like city-born baker all the time, and you were like 80, and
sound
you
like
had
a truck driver,
Yeah.
city-born baker.
yeah, so you can take baker twice if you want to. That would give you 10 skill points, 20 resources, because having a trade makes money for you. 2 trait points, and then you would have to take baking and cooking, so you learned cooking on the side.
Okay. Does something like apprentice artisan make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
If
that
I
could
was
be your
like-
next one.
Yeah, if I was like being taught how to do this trade,
Yeah, what
could I
pages?
take that?
What page is that one on?
It's 53.
Okay. So apprentice artisan, 153 you said? Let's see. Let's see. What setting is it in? City?
None of those skills really apply to me though. Yeah, city
Yeah,
dwelling.
you only have to take the first one. What's the first one?
Hang on, I just lost it. Mason?
Oh yeah, probably not. For some
Yeah,
reason
it
you just
doesn't really
become...
make sense.
Look, it's important to learn how to
Build an oven.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
No, you could take
Brick ovens.
you could take just apprentice, because apprentice gives you have to take mending, but this is like you're not allowed to be a baker yet, but you're allowed to like fix the baker's apron when she tears a hole in it.
Yeah.
You'd learn.
Yeah.
You'd also learn. Again, read and write, which you already have or could already have. You'd learn hauling. You'd learn driving. You'd learn ditch digging. That's a useful skill. And then your traits, you would be broken in, and you could take the trait back-breaking labor
Cool.
if you wanted to. So this would be like this arch would be city-born, student, shitty job, real job, basically, which makes sense.
Which
That sounds
is pretty
cool.
real life, right?
Yeah. Well, sometimes it's like city-born, student, shitty job, die. But thankfully, your character didn't have to do that.
Christ.
Alright, I guess I'll do apprentice
City-born,
then.
student, arts degree, philosopher,
Arts
sorrow,
degree.
shitty job, blockbuster
Slave.
video, die.
Yeah.
Okay, so
God, that's
yeah, so
real.
let's add in apprentice as your next one.
Okay.
So apprentice takes 7
I'm
years.
not typing.
Jesus Christ, you spent 7 years like just lifting heavy shit and pushing stuff around, being like, "Can I please just touch a cake?" And they're like, "No, stay away from the cake, apprentice."
see,
We're
this
at like
is-
the finest bakery in the kingdom.
At
Yeah.
this point, you've already been a student, right?
Yeah.
So you know how to read, you know how to write. Like your mind is just like you're like have a really developed interior life and cannot use any
No.
of those skills that you have.
Yeah.
But I'm honing my strength for my tradesman's guild of
Yes.
fighters.
Yeah, totally.
Strong arms from punching dough.
Nice. So yeah, it takes you 7 years, gives you 8 resource points.
Okay.
Gives you 1 on the physical stat column, so your character's getting ripped from lifting boxes and stuff.
Sick.
It gives you six skill points.
Okay.
And 2 trait points. And then you got the list there. So you get you have to take mending. You can, if you want to, take read, write, hauling, driving, or ditch digging, or all of those. And then for traits, you have to take broken in, and you might take backbreaking labor if you want, but you don't have to.
Okay, so I only have to take that first one.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Cool. Okay. And then, how are we doing, Colin? Do you have some fill-ins available for you here?
I'm kind of overwhelmed here.
That's okay.
I think I've got it, but I'm just like now reading through everything.
Sure.
So it's
Yeah, I know.
It's okay.
Trying to
Yeah,
find the perfect fillers for those 2, and I'm not sure.
Yeah, and this is the thing, like, it's supposed to take a while, and we're supposed to put, like, time and care into it. The fact that, like there's no rush. We've got lots and lots of time, so not to worry. So your character, Villageborn, let's try to get you to Noble Court, shall we? Let's look at what village leads out. So Villageborn can lead you to Peasant, which is a step backwards. It's leads you to Servitude. That doesn't really work very well. Leads you to the Sea, which would be a weird... Like, I just go be a sailor. Okay, never mind. I'm going to go be groundskeeper Willie now. Or to Religion. So looking for... If we want to jump from a village straight to Noble Court, let's see if there are any. There might not. You might have to go to the Sea.
Yeah, there's a couple, but I wasn't sure about any of them.
Okay.
I think like one of them is like apiarist, and
Yep.
that would be a little. I don't know if that's
yeah,
with the character.
brewer is one. Weird, like a kid just grow up. You're like, yep, make beer. I'm a beer making. I mean, whatever. You're an adult. You're an adult at 10.
Yeah.
You would spend 8 years making beer.
Wait, slow down. Dial it back. What?
I mean, you're not an infant anymore. You can take adult life paths, basically. Let's see. Yeah, apiarist. Okay, so we might need to nudge you there a little more slowly. We might need to get you to somewhere else. So let's look at maybe city or something that can lead to Noble Court that makes sense for your character. So things like let's see, coin clipper, which I doubt is a thing your character would do. And you can lead for the village, it's into which ones again? Peasant, Servitude, Sea, or Religious. Okay.
You know, I actually kind of like the weird sea angle, just adding some like strange backstory.
Cool. All right, let's take a look at that one and see if there's a Noble Court that leads out of it.
Could you have been from a different place? Like,
yeah, you're born in a village on the other side of the sea.
The sea.
And then you sailed and like spent years as a sailor or whatever. That could be kind of cool. That could be neat.
So let's take a look. For the sea,
not seeing anything.
Yeah, they all seem to be soldier, city, villager, or outcast. But it could get you to city. Religious is another option. If you want to get a little weird, like your character could have been sold or like given to the church. Oh, I mean, okay. Here's the easiest way, right? This is the easiest way for you to get there.
Okay.
Village-born, servant, something in the court, forester, right? Because this would be like you were born in the village, your peasant parents or whatever, your villager parents gave you up or like traded you or sold you or by some arrangement sent you to be a servant to a noble lord, which you did for several years, and maybe you showed a talent for, woodcraft, and then you could take another thing that led you to becoming a noble forester.
Okay.
So you could do village-born, servant, and then anyone more from court that would give you some skills like that. That would give you forester skills.
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
Okay. So let's see. Oh, that's so funny. There's 2 different versions of servant. There's the servitude one, and then there's the noble version. So you could be like village-born servant, better kind of servant, forester.
Yeah, from slave to indentured servant.
Yeah, well, servant to someone better, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you could take huntsman. Huntsman's a good one.
Huntsman's a good one.
You could take gardener, right? That's another option. Yeah, I think that your second last and last life paths are going to be your character really like getting their shit together, getting on track.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll just go with the servant.
Okay, so servant for your
the
second
second.
path.
Yeah.
Okay, so servant gives you mostly bullshit, I think, which I apologize for, but hey, that's life. Being a servant sucks. Let me find the servitude. Well, hey, at least you weren't born a slave, right?
I was gonna say, beats being a slave.
Ooh.
You could stop being a servant. You have that choice, sort of. Probably not, because you're just a kid. Let's see, servitude. Totally lost it. What's do you have your life paths there, Andrew? Because it's the same setting. Do you know what page it is?
Oh, for the
I found it.
Wait,
Servitude and captive. Okay, so servant gives you.
Whoa.
It takes 5 years. So from your characters from 10 to 15 was a servant. It gives you 6 resources. It is a lead, so put a 1 in lead. You get 2 skill points and 2 trait points. And then your skills, you get 2 skills. You have to take Soothing Platitudes. And if you want to, you can take Gossip Wise.
So the skills, does it matter the order in which I list them on the
Only the
next
first
section?
Only the first one. So like after Cudgel, you're gonna want to put Soothing Platitudes, and then we'll mark it for you as required.
Okay.
And
what
then
page is this on?
this is on 192. Oh yeah, Cudgel.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if there's like a weird character sheet thing going on, but on mine, like the first 2 are fine. Like you had observation and then something else on the top. Those were okay where they were.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I just wiped them all out.
That's okay.
I'll
It was
get to that.
Yeah, it was observation. Those are from Forrester. So it was observation and then something else. So just leave observation at the top, and that required box is there, and then put at the bottom where I've put that second checkbox. That's where you're going to put Soothing Platitudes, because you have to take that, and then Gossip Wise immediately underneath it. And Soothing Platitudes is your character's way. It's a way of getting what you want by telling people things you think they want to hear, like, "Yes, my lord, your hat looks particularly fancy today. While we were on the subject of hats, I could use a new hat." Or if someone's mad at you, you have a talent. You have a talent for diffusing them by being like, "Hey, chill. Everything's fine. It's all fine. We're fine. Don't be so mad." And then for traits, you get 2, and they are mind-numbing work and obsequious, but you only have to take mind-numbing work. Did you have traits from Forrester?
I didn't write them down. I think
Okay.
there are some, though.
Okay, that's fine. So we'll make sure we write those down. So I guess right now all you need to do is, add in, after Soothing Platitudes, add in the other skill that you had to take from Servant. Put in your 2 servant traits, and then go back and fill in the traits and fix up that skill list from Forrester. And I'll come back. I'll come back and take a look at your sheet in a second.
Okay.
Okay. So you picked Bandit for your second one, Andrew?
Well, I might. So, I need to ask you some questions about.
Please do.
It's been a while since I've done this. So, what is the resources number for again?
So resources are what you're going to use to buy property, equipment, relationships, reputations and affiliations.
Okay. Yeah. So I think.
Miscellaneous
So I think I'm
character
not
stuff.
to be a bandit. I need to go through the soldier setting.
Yeah.
For 3 life paths, because I'm going to go foot soldier, sergeant, and then veteran. Because veteran will let me get a cool rep and all that kind of stuff, which is
Nice.
part of my like
Okay.
Yeah.
whole character idea of being this like notorious person.
Sure.
So I think that will best serve the idea that I have.
Okay.
I had a lot of to like kind of do whatever, which is why it was taking so long. Because I'm just like, what?
Yeah. Yeah. Analysis paralysis is a real thing in this game.
So yeah, I was born a slave, and then like sold into the army or something
Okay.
by my owner.
Mhm.
Which
So is that maybe that's a part of why the whole uprising happened, because the army is made up of slaves?
slaves? Yeah,
Yeah.
like for sure. I think that's totally like. I love the idea that like my character now will look at like kids and be like, oh, they don't have to grow up in this like horrifying world of slavery that I was in, and like
Mhm.
Totally.
feel all bitter about it because I'm a bad guy.
All right,
Guys.
Red.
It's
How do we feel about ghosts?
I think
What?
they're kind of spoopy.
Okay,
Um,
I might take haunted as a trait.
nice. I mean, that doesn't have to mean literally haunted.
I know,
But it could be. Yeah. Maybe
Yeah.
you think. Let's leave it. Let's leave it to.
Yes,
Let's leave it to discover in play.
sounds
if you
good.
take haunted.
Sounds
Okay.
good.
oh, further question, Adam.
Yes.
The lead column. What do I write in that?
Just one. Just put a 1. If
For-
it's a lead from the life path you were in before to a new one, so like born a slave,
Okay.
you'd leave 0 because you can't. I mean, unless the life path you were in before was the womb. Yeah, and then 1 to get
Right.
into foot soldier, but the rest are soldier ones, so you stay there.
Yeah, so I stay in that, so I'm 0 all the way. Cool.
I'm having a
Oh,
hard
and that's
time.
just extra time, right?
Yes, that adds to your
So-
age. Yeah.
Someone in chat just asked, Andrew, are you ever a nice person?
Andrew's a very nice person.
Andrew
So-
is. His character is not always.
I mean, I don't know. Gritch is actually like Gritch is ruthless, but not a like bad person.
Mm,
Uh-huh.
Trying to write, but this character like really doesn't give a crap. But I'm hoping to set him up on a like redemption
right.
or be a villain kind of
Cool.
track where it's
Yeah.
like I'm gonna leave that to the story to decide. But he's
I
kind
like
of
it.
poised to be one or the other.
Cool. Okay. So somebody had a question for me. There was a question from the team.
I think I was going to say that I'm looking at these traits and I'm trying to decide what to do with. I have like 2 trait points remaining
Yes.
after taking the ones that I want from my list.
Okay.
And I think I have ones that I'm okay with, but
Your
but I'm
character,
still-
so far your character, you have what, 4 points,
I have
and you have to spend 3 of them.
no, I have. Is that right? Do I have 4? No, I have more.
Oh,
than
no,
4.
I see. You've-
1, 2,
you've
3,
spent
4, 5,
4.
6. I
Okay.
have 6 total. I've spent.
So you're a privileged lord bastard who is cynical.
Right. Those are the ones that I'm definitely taking. I'm
Okay.
not thinking about taking Muttering and Haunted, which just makes him a Shakespeare character, which might be fine.
Right. No, I get. I mean, I can kind of see that like
It's kind of like
Prince of Denmark thing going for your
yeah.
character.
I kind of like that, so I might just go with that. Because I was kind of having a hard time deciding whether or not I wanted to play him as like I was looking at there are some traits that are things like idealistic, and I didn't know if he was still idealistic or not,
Sure.
or versus there are ones that are kind of like he's seen some shit and he's practical and he doesn't give a fuck anymore. But I think I don't want to write either of those down. I think I just want to write down these things that are a little more about how I'm going to play him, because I don't yet know. Cynical is already giving me a little bit. I don't want to lean too hard into whether he is completely broken of his philosophies or if maybe his philosophies are just cynical a little
Right.
bit. I think that's as close as I
Okay.
want to get.
Cool.
The other thing is, do the attributes here automatically calculate? Like, should my health equal?
Then we will add to them because there's
Right.
there's questions for health and steel. Reflex and mortal wound have already calculated for you.
Cool. Thank you.
No problem. Okay, cool. So looks like that's coming along. Do you want to do your last life path? Should we do your Baker life path, Sultan? Are you ready?
Sure.
Are you ready to ascend to Bakerdom?
What was my trait for apprentice? I'm sorry, I missed that.
Oh, no problem. So for Yeah, and it looks like you're missing some apprentice skills too, so that's okay. Apprentice, I will find it. We can review. Here we go. Okay, so your skills for apprentice were mending, which you will have to take, so that's required. We got that one right. And then the rest of your skills are write, read, which you already have, so you don't have to mark those again.
Okay.
So hauling, driving, and ditch digging should come after mending, rather than Potter.
Okay.
Because I think
Some
that
skills
came
right
from
there.
different-
Clearly, I'm looking at the wrong thing.
Yeah, I think you looked at the wrong one, but that's okay.
Hauling. Sorry, hauling,
Hauling, driving, and ditch digging.
driving.
Yeah, like driving an ox cart or something, as opposed to riding a horse. Like you're good at
Driving horse.
You're good at sitting in the like wagon thing whipping the horses, but if someone actually put you in a saddle on a horse, you wouldn't know what to do.
Okay.
Yeah, but you could theoretically drive a wagon or dig a ditch if you want to. And then for your traits, you have two options. One of which is you have to take broken in. Because your first one, broken in, and then your next one is back-breaking labor.
Fun.
Yeah, fun. Totally fun. Fun to be a medieval worker. Okay, so let's get to the realness. You've become a baker at the age of 23.
Made it.
You made it.
I
You made
made
it
it.
into baking. All right, so
Where's Baker? I couldn't
it's on
find it.
page 172. It's just above alewife and just below shopkeeper.
Ooh, alewife.
Oh yeah, you're missing read on your skill list.
Oh, am I?
Yeah, it's optional, so just throw it at the bottom.
Okay.
Cool. Okay, so for your fourth life path, put in baker. Okay, and then you get it takes 6 years. So at the beginning of the campaign, your character will be 29 and has just finished being a baker.
That's good.
You get 10 resource points. And then you get 5 skill points.
Okay.
And 1 trait point.
Okay.
Okay. And for your skills, the first skill is going to surprise you. It's going to surprise you and blow you away. It's baking.
Whoa!
To be a baker, you have to know how to bake. So, baking is your first skill. Cooking is your second skill. So baking is required. There we go. Yeah, cooking is optional. And then daily bread wise.
I love it.
Daily bread wise.
What?
So
Love it.
daily, the word daily, and then bread hyphen wise.
What does
Daily
that
bread
mean?
wise. It means you know about daily bread. You know, I think that it's in this case like these are all open to severe interpretation, but I think this is a sort of like the ritual of like give us this day our daily bread. Like your character understands how food fits into people's lives.
Yeah.
Because bread is like, this is why Peaceland bread is a thing, right? Like bread is the stand-in for wholesome, nutritious sustenance. So that's a thing your character might know about. And then also sweet tooth-wise. Yeah. Sweet tooth-wise.
Wise.
And then your trait, you only get 1 trait, and you have to take it, and the trait is flowery. F-L-O-U-R-Y. Your character is covered in
Just mean
flour.
I'm like always covered in flour.
Yes. Yeah, you got
Aw,
flour
that's
all
cute.
over you all
That's
the
really
time.
great.
Yeah.
That's so great.
You can very easily use this trait to get Artha, which is like reward points later, by just being like, yeah, I leave like a flowery handprint somewhere where I shouldn't have been, or like, you know, like your character just, you're a baker, you have flour on you a lot.
Mhm.
It's a thing.
Cool. I like it.
Cool. Yeah. Yeah, we have all the traditional Dungeons and Dragons characters. We have the ranger, the noble, the baker, the insane fighter.
You
Yeah, the insane slave. Yeah, flowery. All right, cool. So, so that's your list that you've built here, and we'll get to once everyone's done this. I'll explain how to spend these points that you're getting. we'll go on to the next step once everybody's ready. So how are you doing, Andrew? Have you got your lists all filled in?
I think I've got everything recorded.
Okay.
I might do a little bit of shifting around of some of my like optional points when we get to figuring out stats, but
okay.
Yeah.
Austin, your character is like 10 years older than everybody else.
That's about right, though. That's like kind of what I was aiming for, right?
Yep.
Like, heavy is the head that's a little bit older. That's how the saying goes, right?
Yeah, totally.
Well, it's like I kind of like this character being a little bit older specifically because there is a little bit more weight to the fact that things aren't fixed. Like, if you're young and you've just gone through this revolution, there's hope springs eternal for another 10 more years.
Right.
Whereas, like, if you're already getting up there, like, man, what if I don't live to see the good stuff that comes after we figured all this shit out, you know?
Yeah, totally.
Ugh.
All right, so we are almost ready to start spending points. So I'm just gonna move some stuff around for ease of use for you, Colin. So you've got you're gonna take Huntsman as your third one.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Okay. All right. So Huntsman gives you. Let's see, and it's the noble version of the Huntsman, not the city-born one. Because that can be confusing. Because if you're a noble huntsman, you learn, or working for a noble, you learn one thing, but if you're in the city, you learn another. So the noble.
Did I grab the wrong one?
No, you got the right one. I was just looking at the other one.
Okay.
Cool. Okay. So for this one, you got soothing platitudes and gossip wise. Or maybe you did grab the other one. No, there's just a couple that you get added on here. So you should have hunting, and you have to have that, which you got. Forest wise, yep. Throw animal husbandry on there. Yeah, you got that. Stealthy, cooking, and tracking. Yeah, those are the ones. Yeah, so cooking and tracking. And actually, you can leave tracking off because you already have that up at the top.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
yeah, delete that one.
Yeah, I was wondering about that, if they overlap.
You already have orienteering, so that's fine. You leave that one off. And then you have crossbow. So you can use bows and crossbows.
Nice.
Sweet.
Okay, cool. You can here. Let's just fill in this top one because you got bow on here twice. So I'll add in cross to that
Yes,
one.
I do.
There we go. Okay, perfect. So you have your skill list now. Huntsman gives you just one general point and no additional traits. So you've just got the traits from Forester that we want to grab. So your Forester traits are what? Where did those go?
See, I started.
Oh, none. Wow, you have. So you
I
just
need
have,
to rearrange this stuff.
I realized
I have observation. No, go ahead.
You don't actually have to rearrange them because all we have to make sure we do is just check the required ones, which we have. Like you have to take hunting, you have to take soothing platitudes, and you have to take observation. But the thing is, like your character, the only traits you got were from being a servant. So you'll just have points that you can spend. You have basically five skill or trait points to spend on any traits you want, which is cool. You have a lot of freedom. To spend that stuff. Cool. All right. So you're ready too. Everybody's skill list is ready. So we've all chosen our life paths. We're ready to move on to the next thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Well, let's take a short break. I'm gonna grab some water, and we'll start allocating points and doing the math part of character creation. So stick around, everybody.
It's
We'll
not
be back
bad.
in-
It won't be bad. We'll all be fine.
This is the fun part because now you're choosing of this list what you actually give a shit about. So yeah, stick around. We will be back with more Burning Wheel in just a couple minutes. See you soon. Hello. Welcome back.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi.
So did you just finish your character while we were on break, Austin? Are you done?
Yeah, I'm done.
Okay, cool. Do you
I played the game. It was pretty good.
Oh, it was good? Yeah, you're done?
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah. My character, he ascended to enlightenment. Actually, like, he
That's
got real deep
fantastic.
into philosophy. It's
Cool.
pretty good.
People are going to be really mad you didn't stream that.
Spoilers.
You know, I wanted to have that one for me. You know, that was like my.
You
my
just
game.
play your own little mini campaign on the break with yourself. That's good. That's nice. It's good to have hobbies. Okay, so that was parts 1 and 2 of character creation. Part 3 is figuring out how old your character is. That's done for you already in the age section. This is a combination of time spent doing things plus leads into other stuff. And I think you're all pretty much the same age. Like, Silden, how old is your character?
29.
Right, okay. Colin, how old's your character?
27, I think.
Yeah, plus the 1 lead. So you're 28.
Oh, 28.
Andrew,
Yep.
how old's yours?
29, which is the same age as my age.
Ooh.
Wow.
Kind of fun.
This is totally not the age I was aiming for, by the way.
Yeah, you're.
I know you
young-
wanted to be like an old man.
You will.
but-
You will be. Give it time. You'll you
well,
will
I'll be old man someday.
Cool. And then Austin, how old's your character?
38.
All
You
right.
know, that's. I think that's a good age.
It's a good age.
Yeah,
It's a good age.
good age to be.
There's nothing wrong with being.
It's because you
38.
spent 15 years thinking about stuff.
I was thinking real hard. Okay.
I was
Looks like
thinking.
it.
All right. So consult the age chart. So on your character sheet, there's 2 drop downs.
I love tabletop role playing games. Consult the age chart.
So how old your character is will determine how many mental and physical points you get to spend. So click the little drop down,
Oh.
find human of the appropriate age, and select that. So that will happen for both of those 2 drop downs. That
So
will
I'm just past my prime.
that'll fill in the second. Yeah, yeah. If you look at it, there's definitely like a. Well, I mean, it could be worse, right? Like you're still in the 21 to 30 range, right? Once you're 32,
Yeah.
things start.
You
to...
could be 38.
Yeah, 13 points. Well, no, it's funny, right? Like, yeah, when you're 15 to 16 or 17 to 25, you have 16 points, and then by the time you're Austin's character's age, you have 13 points to spend.
Old man Walker.
That's
When
me.
you're 100 years old, you have 9 points because you're freaking geriatric already. Yeah.
So what that'll do is it'll automatically fill in your next 2 physical and mental like pools. So the number you're going to see there, so for example, like Colin, you've got a 6 there and an 11 in your physical pool. This is the total number you would have normally. So it adds up the age chart plus your bonuses and then subtracts the number of stats because you have to have at least 1 in your stats. For mental, you have will, and your will is your character's force of personality, willpower, basically everything about you that is like your personality, your self-image comes from will. And then perception is your ability to notice things in the world around you. This kind of shows how book smart you are, things like observation, how much your character is capable of inputting the world around them into that mental space. So you're going to split the pool that you have. Like Colin, for example, you've got 6 points. If you want to be even, you could just have 4 will and 4 perception. You're done. You're evenly good at both. 3 or 4 is sort of like average. 2 is not great. 5 and above, you're starting to get like people know you for that thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then the same thing for physical. So your physical pool is made up of 4, it gives you 4 different things. Power is like raw strength. This is like if you want to break someone's arm, you'd use power. Fort, even though it looks like it says forte, there's no little thing. Fort is how tough your character is. So this is like, it contributes to your health, your endurance, that sort of thing. Agility is like hand-eye coordination. Things like bow and sword are often based off of or partly based off of that. And then speed is how fast you are. Like if I was like, okay, Colin's character and Andrew's character are going to be in a race, you both roll speed and whoever got the most won. So split those up among those pools. And what this will do is it'll create a base for where your skills start when we start to spend points on those. They're also going to contribute to things in the game, and you will roll these. Some of these are like actual rollable things in the game.
Did I mention my character likes racing a lot? And I'm hoping we can do that pretty often.
Yeah, like I'm just gonna put all my points in speed. You max out at character creation at 6, so don't go above 6 in anything because you're not allowed. Because I said so.
Adam, I have a question. I have 2 questions.
Is your question, can I have 7 in one of my abilities?
No,
Good.
no, neither question.
What is your question?
Question the first. On my character sheet, it is currently in my stats column.
Yes.
So I put in I have -1 from Born a Slave, and then I have Foot Soldier and Sergeant both giving me +1 to my physical pool.
Foot Soldier
at the
and
bottom,
Sergeant.
it's still listing -1. Oh, I see. Is it because I shouldn't have +1 in there? It should just be 1. Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
There you go.
Thank you.
No problem.
Second question.
Yes.
Gray Shade. Can I Gray Shade stuff? How does it work?
Also, what's a shade?
So, shade in this game is shade in this game is dice. When we roll a die in the game, we're rolling imaginary d6s. Pretty much everything in the game is shaded black, and that means that on a single die, a 4, 5, or a 6 is a success on that die. If you are rolling something that is gray shaded, that means that a 3, 4, 5, or 6 is a success. You are heroic in that particular thing. I think we looked this up on the break. Austin, it was what, you 5
points.
5 points.
To go to gray shade.
So if you want to, for example, like looking at your character, Andrew, you could have right now Fort of G2 instead of B5. But you'd have to spend those other 2 points. And then,
Right.
so the 3 shades, the 3 shades are black, gray, and white. White shade is like godlike because a 2 through 6 is a success on a die, but it's impossible basically for any human to have at the beginning of the game. So yeah, if you want to, you can shade something gray. It's kind of advanced. It'll mean you'll have less dice, but the dice will be more effective.
Yeah, that sounds like hardcore mode.
It's pretty intense. Yeah, it's.
I'm tempted to do it. But
All right. I mean, if you want to, you can.
let me run the
against
numbers
you.
here.
I'm looking like I'm doing literally the opposite thing, which is I have a billion skills. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Like on top of the skills that I got from my life pack.
Here, let's not jump.
Wait on that.
Let's not jump to skills yet.
Okay.
Let's just put that one in the stable for now, and we'll
Sounds
come back to it. Okay, so this is what you need to. This is what you all need to do. Anybody have questions about how that works? Like splitting up those pools. When in doubt, like going even is like a fair, safe bet.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you're envisioning your character being like particularly willful or like stubborn, or you don't want people to like push you around, or you want to push other people around, put more points in your will than your perception. If you want to be kind of introverted and perceptive, but not as you want to be more book smart, put more points in perception than in will. Doing math. But again, like the thing is, these will advance through play, through actually making rolls. So even a bad stat isn't so bad because you'll advance faster. Cool.
So
nice.
Adam,
Yeah.
just to be clear,
Yes. So
sorry,
yeah, you did that right.
I did this correctly. So I have 5. I essentially have 5 points that are like unspent.
5 points that just evaporate. Yeah. So you have a gray shade fort. Gray shade fort 2, though.
Just take abuse like no one else.
Yeah.
That's such a weird thing.
Yeah.
Because you roll less dice, basically, right?
You're
Like,
more,
you're gonna
he's
roll
actually
2.
at this point. You're more likely to fail, but you'll advance faster.
Okay.
Yeah.
And further, in a sense, because
Yeah.
each point that he goes up means more than, like if he goes up to 3 gray fort, that's just better than
Yes.
3 black fort.
Yeah. Yeah. So like your gray fort does just probably come from you suffering a lot. Now
Still him hang over it. So.
Your health won't be gray shade because both your will and health have to be, or will and fort have to be, but you're halfway there.
Well,
cool. Okay. Looks like our baker, something you're gonna split your will and perception down the middle. Okay. So for you, your skills are primarily going to be probably like agility based. Your apprentice skills are going to be kind of probably power based because they're all just like lifting and lugging.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
Yeah, if you want to be maybe like a character that's a little more like sturdy, maybe throw a couple more points in fort. If you want to be more agile, like I would bump that agility up to 4 maybe. Unless you think your character is like maybe like clumsier than you might think. These things will affect your attributes, your health, your reflexes, and your mortal wound. So if for whatever reason this baker ever gets in a sword fight, that'll be modified by that. But like again, if you're not really sure, raising them all up kind of together is a safe bet because your skills are going to be more important.
All right, I think I'm going to do this.
Nice. Look how strong you are.
I'm so strong.
Yeah, super strong. Power 5. I think you're probably the strongest person in the group.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
Stronger than me.
Do not anger the baker. She will wreck you. Cool. Yeah, it looks like, Colin, you've got a pretty good handle on yours too. Like that 6 agility, 6 perception, super good for a character who's like a huntsman. Excuse me.
Cool.
So you got one more point to spend, so you can throw that into speed,
I was
maybe?
debating.
Speed or power? Bump that power up.
What does power, like, govern, I guess? Like, versus speed. You gave the speed example.
Yeah, speed is literally like how fast you are. And this means like full body speed. So in combat, it'll mean how quickly you can get around in a fight. So let's say you have a two-handed sword and someone has a knife and they want to get up in your business. The fact that you're faster than them means you can get away faster than they can approach you. And then power is once you're actually engaged, that's how much you hurt someone when you hit them with your weapon.
All right, I'm going to go with speed.
Totally, yeah. Because I don't imagine this character gets in a lot of like knife fights. I think this is like you see someone a mile away, shoot an arrow into the air, and they just die, way over there. Cool.
I have questions. Again. Sorry, the range is 1 to 6.
Yeah. Nothing lower than 1 because you would die, and nothing higher than 6.
Cool. We're going dramatic. Hard mode. Full hard mode. Here we go.
Oh my god. Are you seriously gonna have a G1 fort? I love you, Andrew.
I don't want you to die.
Oh man, I love too.
I like the idea that this character is like not good at things. He's just like somehow still alive. I
love too that you have a G1 will, which also means your will is small and pathetic but honed to a diamond edge. So like people are really good at bossing you around, but man, do you resent it. You know you're being bossed around. And you're going to advance pretty fast with those.
He's set to become something important, but right now he's like just some guy stumbling along.
Yeah, you're the hand on the knife.
It'd be weird.
Nice. Cool. Okay. So the next step is going to be spending skill points. Now, this is going to require a little bit, take what I say with a grain of salt. I can help you. I'll pop around and try to help out on the character sheets. So on the sheets, I'll use Austin's character sheet as an example because you have already done this. On the sheet, every skill is based on an attribute or multiple attributes. So if you look in the index of the book on page 590, you need to find all of your skills and select the root for those skills. So anything that's a wise is perception. So for example, Sylvan, on your character sheet, Sweet Tooth wise and Daily Bread wise, change that drop down from will to perception. And just go through your list and do this for every skill you have. If it has more than one, so for example, like arson, the arson skill It's a real skill. The arson skill is based on perception and agility. You need to be able to know where to light the fire, and you need to be able to light it quickly so you can be the best arsonist that you can be. So do that for all of your skills. Then we'll talk about spending points.
So for ones with a split.
Oh yeah, check the box and it'll open it for you. The little box right next to it for the split.
Yeah, that says open.
No, sorry, the other box on the left. Open will be if you spend points on it.
Right, but if it's required, then I have to spend points.
Yeah, the box to the left of required. Boop. See there?
Oh, I see.
There you go.
Root, I see.
Yeah.
And so yeah, if they have a split root,
yes.
check the box.
Check the box and then select the next one.
And then for that, it means that it takes the average of the two.
Yeah, it'll add the two together and it'll take the average of them once you've opened it.
Great.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. So I will assist in this because I can mess with your character sheets too. So much power. And everybody in chat, I don't know, everybody watch us concentrate.
So exciting.
Now I'll ask that question, which is, I'm all over the place with skills. I have a billion skills, which I like that, but also I'm nervous that means that I won't be able to do anything well enough to be effective. Is that okay?
So in Burning Wheel, get ready to fail because you will. It will happen. It doesn't mean you're not going to get the things that you want. It just means they're going to be more complicated, right? Okay. So failure allows me to be like, yeah, okay, you open the door but maybe it's not in time, or yes, you recognize this enemy, but not until they've already got their sword out and they're ready to attack you. So you will fail. Generally, what I do when I make characters for Burning Wheel is like I pick one or two things I really care about, and I make those 5s or whatever.
Okay.
But everything else, like a 2 or a 3, whatever. You might fail. Depends on. You're gonna need to go after set reasonable goals for yourself. We'll say that.
But aiming for a couple of 5s is a reasonable goal.
I would say a couple of 4s. Like a 5 is a lot.
Okay.
But it depends on how many points. Like you've got a lot of points to spend, so.
I do.
Yeah.
They're all over the place.
Yeah.
Which is fine.
And we'll talk about spending points once this little bit is done.
Okay.
So yeah, everybody put on the Jeopardy music, and we will get this thing done together.
Is hauling power?
Hauling is based on power, yeah. Oh, it's based on will and power. You have to have the will to haul, and then also the power to do it.
That's right.
The mind is strong, but the body is weak, or vice versa. Yeah.
Okay.
I like that people in chat are taking bets on when Andrew's character is going to die.
Oh my god.
The answer is never, because Andrew has control over that. Not me.
And I have ratiated health. Like,
yep.
Get out of here.
Get out of here, Chad. Don't get out of here.
Bring it on.
Alright. Yeah, crossbow, got that. Got this. Everybody's doing so good. So
soothing platitudes is will.
Yeah.
Means my platitudes will not be very soothing.
Well,
look, it could be worse. That's the best you can do. Like, I mean, you know, the wolf did chew your arm off, but hey, you could have chewed both your arms off.
True.
You feeling soothed? Is that okay? Alright, so park-wise is a perception skill, poacher-wise is perception. I think of course observation is based on perception. Yeah, this is the one part of the character sheet where like we can't really automate it into Roll20 because you need the game to do this.
Yeah.
There's a very fine line between like making a really effective character sheet and removing the necessity of having the game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit of busy work, but
it would be really big if it had a database of every single skill.
Yeah. There's actually like room in the way that Roll20 works to like license that kind of thing. So to build like a character burner that people would like pay for, we would like license it as users. But I wanted to make something that everyone could use rather than having to like work out like you have to pay for this, because anybody that's like watching that wants to go through 4 hours of character creation, hey, you can do it too. You play the home game. Okay.
Play along at home.
So
We're starting at page.
as you're doing this, as you're setting up the routes, if you notice that any of them are like you had a skill you really wanted to be good at, and you put a stat, your stat for that sucks. Go ahead and go back and change your pools around if you want to. It's not set in stone.
Oh, Adam, I have a question.
Yes.
In a bunch of my life paths, it said appropriate weapons.
Yeah. So appropriate weapons is not a skill. It's a replacement for one type of appropriate weapon. So you would be like, if you were a Templar, and in this world Templars use shotguns, then that's an appropriate skill. Firearms would be a skill you could take. So that's up to you. You can totally. You can definitely do that.
Adam, you kind of sound like a robot.
And so I can just put in a couple different
my audio getting beep boop? Sorry.
Maybe it's me. I don't know.
It's getting better. Yeah, it was happening for me. I missed all of that. But
Okay, sorry.
But my homemade is that appropriate weapons can aim some weapons and then take skill points on them.
Yes.
Is that
that's
correct?
right.
And then we decide what stats they're based on, or does the book have a bunch listed?
There are specific weapon skills in the list, so you would pick those. Like knives or swords or whatever. You catch any of that?
Oh, I'll track those down.
Okay.
Cool.
Cool. Okay.
Yep, knives, swords, whatever. Further in the list.
Okay. Alright. Let's go assist here. Perception and agility. Scribe. I like that scribe is a skill and write is a skill, but they're different.
Yeah, I know.
I think
one's a profession,
yeah.
right? Like beats. Is it the magical one? I can't remember.
There we go. Oh, that's weird. I can't find scribe in here. Just check something here.
See, this is an authentic gaming experience.
Yeah.
Right here.
Silence.
Silent studying.
People looking at books.
I feel like some scribe might have ended up. I think scribe might be a trait, and ended up in the wrong place. Let me double check.
Mm.
Oh, really? I thought I saw it. Agility?
Oh, okay. I must have just glossed over it. Scribe, or it's not in the index. Luke.
Wait, what is it?
Scribe. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No, I don't see it in the skills list. What did? Oh,
Page 61 is where it is for me.
I don't have my 161 is completely different. My one is like elf.
I'll look it up. I'll look it up in the full. I'll look it up in the full skill list.
Oh.
Scribe.
That sounds something that would be in Sue, though. So let me think.
Okay.
Yeah, this is just like general for me. Weird.
Well, it's in your skill list. What was your life paths again?
City-born, student, apprentice, baker.
Yeah, I don't see scribe in this list. Student. Scribe would have maybe come from that. Let's double check.
Oh.
Yeah, probably.
Scribe here. Scribe is a life path.
Okay. Well, I just take scribe off there. It's fine. We don't want to spend a ton of time on a thing that I don't think is actually a skill and read and write.
What? Take it off.
Yeah, just take it off. That's fine.
You just want to be
Okay.
describe your circle.
If that, just leave it.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, so we're having a little bit of like weirdness on the call, just from the connection being funky. So let's hang on. Let me see if I can. Yeah, the Skype call is disintegrating a little. Can y'all still hear me?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
seeing. Okay, well let's.
Yeah, you're just really robotic.
I can. You're cutting out a little bit, but I can hear you.
Okay, well let's just try to hold it out, and we'll see if we can get through this part.
Okay.
And then maybe we can rehost.
Good.
We can rehost the call. Okay, so skip the scribe thing. Let's just get our lists all sorted out. So we'll take scribe off of here. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
Yeah, no, your skill list is fine otherwise. Alright, so has everybody got their skill lists up to date? Or are we still working on those?
Yeah.
Okay, so Austin, yours is sorted out. Colin.
I might tinker a little bit.
Sure. I just want to make sure everybody has the roots on their skill list sorted out.
Right. Gotcha.
Okay, so let me just double check for these ones. Perception, cool, okay. Alright, so the next step after that's done is you have to open the skills. So you have a certain number of skill points. So like Colin, you have 21. So then your character has 26. This combines your skill list and your general points. So you can see those in the columns. Now, what you can do is on the required ones, you have to open these. Opening them means you have the skill. So for example, like start on your character sheet by clicking open next to all the skills that have a required box. And that'll take that many skill points away. That basically says you have that skill. Any other skills that you want to be able to have, do the same thing. So like, you know, you're going to have to take baking, you have to take mending, and you have to take write. But if you also want to be able to read, click open next to that. And so basically open all the skills you want to have, then go back over and any skills you want to make better, the advanced column, the ADV, put in the number of points that you want to spend on that skill. So right now, if you just open write, you get it at 2. You'll get to roll 2 dice when your character writes something. If you want to be better at writing, spend more points to advance it. Where it says final, that'll go up as you go. So, like I was saying to
and those are just the
sorry, yeah, as I was saying to Austin,
Adam?
yeah.
Sorry.
Oh, did are we losing him? Is that happening? Oh, that's a shame.
No, you're good. You're good.
Okay, yeah, we just your cam's frozen. Austin is all.
Okay.
Cool. Yeah. So just basically go through and spend those points. Just click on. Yeah, there you go. Click on and open any skills you want to have, and then spend points on ones you want to make better. So pick 2 or 3, and you want to move them up to 4. Do that until you've spent the points that are on your first column. So spend 18 of your total points, for example, like Colin, and then the 3 points you have left over, you can either spend on your existing skill list, or you can spend on any other skill in the game. So you can add, open, and advance any other skill. So this is where you can be a baker who learned how to fight with a sword. Or you can be, like, this is where your character is advancing beyond just their life paths. That makes sense? Is that a thing?
I think you're muted, Colin. Somehow.
So 18 is the number I have to spend first before I have spare?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's something that y'all can do now. Cool. Okay, so I'm gonna look through, and I'll keep an eye on your sheet. Basically, like, you know, like you may not, like Sylvan, you may not want to advance baking anymore, but when it inevitably comes up in the game, you're gonna want to have dice for it. So, one thing that you can do too, if you want to, is spend your general points first and just get those out of the way. So take things like sword and what have you, right now, and then you're good to go.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Okay. So here's what we can do. You can all start working on spending those points, and we'll take a break and try to fix the Skype call, and then we'll come back and pick up from there, and you guys can work, because nobody needs to see you clicking the buttons and advancing your skills. That sound good? I think that's good. Okay, let's do that. We'll try and get Austin back and keep working. So
Thanks.
keep at it, and we'll just jump over
All right.
and be right back. Hello. We are mostly back, or most of us are back. We have the voice of an Austin and a still image.
Hi.
He's still.
Just imagine someone joked earlier that my frozen image was me doing my 15 years of thinking. So
yeah, you're on your sabbatical. You're thinking
Yeah.
trait. Okay, so how are we doing for spending our skill points? Are we doing well? Do we feel like comfortable about the process at least?
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out my one general skill point that I get for being born a slave. I'm trying to figure out like what would
you can open one skill.
could be anything.
Could be any skill at all. Astrology.
There's a million skills.
Astrology is always a fun skill to take if you don't know what else to take.
Hillary was yelling at me during the break, like, Andrew, if you don't take astrology, I'm.
So the reason astrology is so special is because you have to roll astrology. You can use it to help succeed at any other skill, sword fighting, baking, whatever. It's a helping die for everything. But if you roll it and it explodes, so if you roll it and it's a 6, you re-roll it and you keep re-rolling. It keeps adding successes for you. But it works the opposite way. It's the only thing in the game that explodes backwards, where if you roll it and you get a 1, it steals a success. And then it rolls again, and you can just be like, well, I would have been fine except for Mercury's in retrograde, so I guess I'm just going to die. It's a really fun skill, but it's like, yeah.
Love it.
I think things are stacked against my character enough.
Yeah.
The astrology.
Probably a good plan.
What's symbology?
Understanding and recognizing symbols of all kinds, like non-language symbols.
So for my village-born life path, it's three points for general.
Yep.
What does that mean?
You can spend those on any of the skills that are in your list, or you can add new skills that are not on your list from the book. So,
Okay.
like,
All right, that's what I thought.
if there's something your character wants to be good at that isn't naturally from huntsman, forester, servant, or village-born, this is like your own personal time that you learned skills outside of your your profession.
Well, there's too many skills, though.
Yes, that's actually the subtitle of the game. Burning Wheel, there's too many skills.
How think about it the other way, which is like, is there anything, Colin, that you think your character would have, but like you don't have on that list yet, and then we can figure out if there's a skill that fits that need.
Someone in the chat said I should absolutely have swimming.
It's a useful skill. Notice too. Currently, I think only 2 of you. Yeah, half the party can read and write.
I definitely can't.
Yep.
Not
So yeah, Colin, your character does not know how to read or write, so that might be an option. It's also a really fun character arc in play to be like, I would like to learn how to read. This is my side plot, learning how to read quest.
So I figured out my extra skill I'm going to take.
Okay.
It's boxing, which is
Boxing.
also the like martial arts skill.
Cool.
Ooh.
And I think it was like when I was a slave, like as a very young boy, I was like the creepy asshole slave owner had like a fighting ring, but of children. It, like
Rough.
full on.
I just love like these characters introduce themselves like, I'm a baker. I fought people in the slave pits as a child.
Yeah, like that was his whole story. But like a friend of mine went and worked trained at a Thai boxing camp, and there were like kids who lived in the camp. Like they were orphans basically, and the camp like took them in and raised them. So like then they would get like people would try to like beat them up and pick on them at school, and they would just like fuck the other kids up.
Hardcore. Cool.
Man.
And like they all lived very hard lives, and it was like fraught with lots of shit.
Nice.
But,
And so that tells us something about your character that's outside of like your normal like life paths.
Mhm.
You know, like you've learned some things.
Yeah.
Do you have any particular like gaps in your character's knowledge or whatever, Sylvan, that you want to fill in? Because you were talking about like your character has done some of that too, like some personal fight training. Yeah.
I was gonna ask
Okay.
if I choose like just martial arts
Yep.
as the skill.
Yeah, so same thing, boxing.
Boxing. It in the
Like, what's
book,
the
it
difference?
So
has-
there's two different unarmed fighting skills. There's brawling, which is just like cheap shots and biting people and hair pulling, and then there's boxing, which is actually like studied martial arts. And then that's unarmed martial arts because sword is also a martial art, right? And
Right.
mace and staff and whatever.
So, So not to be that guy, but I guess I want boxing too.
Okay.
That makes
No,
Totally
sense
fine.
for me.
I mean, it just means your characters have that in common, right? Okay, so throw that in there. Boxing is based on power, the average of power and agility. So you're naturally pretty inclined towards it.
Yeah.
And then you can decide, like, you have 4 general skill points, so you can spend as many or as few on that. It costs 1 to open them, and then you can take more if you want.
What is StarCraft, and why do I want it so badly?
What?
It's a famous video.
It's a really famous video game, and you want it so you can get those sweet esports dollars.
Oh my god.
Well, that's what I was thinking. I
No,
Starting
StarCraft.
wheel must have been.
StarCraft is a it's actually a skill in the game. No, it's I think it's an elf only skill. Let me check for you. Only elves are good at StarCraft.
Is that
Is
code
Jadong
for
an elf?
Koreans?
Let's see, StarCraft.
Yeah, Elf Dong.
Let's see.
Elf
here.
dog.
300.
A
So
little elf.
certain elves, yeah, it's elf only. You can't learn StarCraft.
That is
Sorry,
so
you'll
true.
just
You
never
really
be
can't.
good at it.
I've been down that road before.
Yeah.
Live with this.
Yeah.
Can't even be good in a fantasy game.
How many dice do you have in StarCraft? 1.
And can we make up wises?
Oh yes, I encourage you to do so. So that's a good thing. If you don't have any idea what you want to take as your skill, you can make up a wise. They're all based on perception, and you can say, like, for example, this is a thing you could do, Colin. Your character can't have StarCraft, but you could be StarCraft wise. You're like, I suck at it, but I know everything about StarCraft. So that's a real thing. You can just make up your own skills. These are just things your characters are good at. And they're not practical. They're just knowledge skills.
Mhm.
Is it appropriate for me to have like dirty fighting wise or something like that, or like street fighting wise?
Yeah. Well, it's funny because you have boxing, not brawling, so you wouldn't street fight in the fashion that people usually do.
Well, I have both.
Oh, you're
So-
taking both? Okay. Yeah. So street
he
fighting
has some
wise.
training, and he also will just like bite your ear
Well,
off.
and you can fork those together to make
Mhm.
extra dice, so we can talk about that later.
Mm.
So, yes, street fighting wise, dirty fighting wise, cheap tricks wise, all of that stuff is optionally available to you.
So when
And
I
I can
add a
take cheating
skill,
wise.
do I need to like manually lower my general?
No, so with
Number?
boxing, you have to open it first,
Yeah.
and that'll lower the number.
Oh, it
And-
just does it.
Yeah, exactly. It does it. And then if you want to also advance it, so like if you open boxing and then advance it 1, it'll take the base number when you open it and it'll put 1 up to it. So you'll have, like in this case, a 3 on it.
Okay.
Yeah. So, you've got a bunch of other skills that you could choose to open.
Yeah.
And I would start there because
Yeah.
your stats are pretty good. Like having those 3s available is a pretty good start.
Mhm.
Yeah, I love the wises. Vintage wise, wagon wise, whispered secret wise. I've
I assume
definitely
orienteering.
So go ahead.
Orienteering is self-explanatory. Like it'll help us get around.
Yep.
Know where we are. That sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good one.
Orienteering, yeah, sets the course, and you can do it like on land or on a boat or whatever. I definitely think I played with someone who had a wise that was like bullshit wise. And like they would either use it
Good.
they would either use it to detect bullshit, or they would roll it to indicate that something was already bullshit.
To detect a bullshit.
Yeah, so they would be like, hold on, I'm bullshit wise. Is this bullshit? And they could roll, and the GM would be like, no, it's on the level. Or they could just straight up be like, hold on, this is bullshit, and roll, and the GM would be like, okay, it's ob 2 to determine whether or not this is bullshit. And they roll and they're like, yeah, total BS. Such hacks.
I was also thinking of something like suffering-wise or like despair-wise, like something about just like being familiar with.
Andrew.
Whoa.
Black metal band-wise. Yeah, totally. Suffering-wise, very valid. That's a real wise. Okay. Yeah. Sucks-wise. Yeah, wises are a fun way to eat up points if you have general points that you don't know what to do with them yet.
Dump them all into sword.
If you don't already have a social skill, persuade is good. Inconspicuous there's two. There's conspicuous and inconspicuous. Inconspicuous lets you go unnoticed in a crowd. Conspicuous lets you get a bunch of attention on yourself. And then yeah, this is the part where everybody in chat starts throwing out wises that either they have or think you should have. Like someone said they have goth wise.
Definitely.
Totally a thing. You may not be a goth. You may not take the goth trait, but you know about goths. For these characters, curse-wise, rebellion-wise, class-wise, all of those things would be appropriate. Disappointed parents-wise? Yikes, chat. Wow. I mean, that's up to you if you have that. Is it a life path skill?
My parents are dead. They can't be disappointed.
Hey, Batman has dead parents-wise. Sorry, spoilers.
Whoa.
Whoa.
Is it possible to spoil the first 2 minutes of something? I guess it is.
Yep.
What is
spoil
the
the
survival skill? Is that just like general
survival,
staying alive knowledge?
Yeah. Staying alive in
survival.
Particularly in the wilderness.
Okay.
Whereas I'm going to take survival-wise, which is about, like, not dying, very specifically.
Yes, yeah.
So,
That's
if
good
I were
to have.
wounded or
Well,
something.
I mean, like, survival is, like, woodcraft and, like, how to like, scavenge food and stuff like that. But survival-wise can help with that, where it's just, like, how to stay alive in any circumstance. Like, shit is bad.
Yeah, like, it's a character's focus on just, like, how to, like, preserve myself.
So, just real quick, then you're putting ones in the advanced column. Does that mean you want to open them, or do you want to open them and advance them by one? Like, if
I have no idea.
Okay, so what I think you want to do is, like, let's look at philosophy. So instead of putting a 1 there, leave it at 0. You check the open box, which gives you the skill. Then you can choose if you want to advance it further with the points that you have. So I'll readjust this for you.
Oh, I see.
So, like, your first point is clicking open is spending your first point.
Yeah.
So you don't get the skill if it's not open.
Yeah, you have to click open to get it, and that takes away one of your points.
How do I know how many points I have left?
It says next to skill. You have 14. It evened out because I took away all your advances from the unopened skills and opened all the skills for you. So you still have 14 more points.
Where is that?
It's next to
the
5.
Top left.
5 skill. Yeah.
Yeah, like up at
Oh.
Yeah, there you go.
Ding. Okay.
Yeah, so
Got it.
That's right, chat. Frodo definitely has some points in Samwise.
the...
Though I would have phrased it Samwise-wise or sucker best friend-wise. He also has a lot of points in manipulation.
And then Jess doesn't have table-wise, or she would have been able to find that information.
That's right.
Exactly.
Yeah. But as a baker, she might have a different kind of table-wise.
See,
is there like
still in my own
foraging or
concept,
something?
It's called redirection. The pun comes towards me and I turn it around on you. It's judo. Sorry, I was making a stupid joke. You were saying something, Silton?
Oh no, I was looking to see if there was like foraging.
Yeah, I mean, I think
there is.
I think two people have that.
So I can cook for you guys.
Yeah, foraging is useful. Yeah, foraging is a skill.
Fire building is also a skill.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh. My God, there's so many good ones. How IR pick?
Well, thankfully you don't have a lot of points, so. Oh my god, I would totally have points in beer-wise. There's a dwarven skill called drunking.
Yes, I'm drunk.
That's not drinking, because anybody can drink, but only dwarves can really get their drunk on. And it's like a special skill for like drinking contests and like drinking a lot and getting drunk but not losing control of yourself. Yeah.
There's also a special dwarven skill for games of chance, which is different from the skill for gambling.
Yeah.
Where like being a crazed, like money crazed dwarven gambler is a different thing than being a regular human gambler.
Yeah. Classic movie references wise, yeah, right. Like we all go through life building up a large selection of pointless wises, like StarCraft wise, complicated role playing game wise.
And you can learn more skills during play.
Yes.
So
yeah, if you
don't
don't
necessarily have to take everything that you want your character to be doing. Like I haven't taken gambling because I want my character to be shit at it. And
yeah, what'll happen is if you try to do a thing you don't have the skill for, you rely on the ability, but it's twice as hard as it normally would be. But that's how you learn, right? If you don't take sword now, you can learn sword by picking up a sword and trying to hit things with it.
Wait, I'm so stupid.
Why is that?
So if you check it, it's open.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, it's an X, so it's confusing.
Oh, yeah, sorry. The checkbox is, yeah, that's how you open the skill. So right now, your character has 4, 8, 10, you have 11 skills.
11 skills open.
And any of those skills with the box next to them, you can put points in, and you have 14 points to do that.
Yeah, okay, I get it.
You could also keep opening skills and
I'm slowly but surely understanding what's happening.
yeah, that's okay. That's the
Don't
point.
call me Shirley.
Slowly but surely.
Actually, no.
There are so many skills.
I know, man. I
Try-
can't even.
Rather than picking skills from the list, imagine the things you want your character to do and check if there's a skill for that. So like
seduction skill.
Imagine, yeah, right? That's a thing. It's a skill. Imagine what you envision your character. Well, like what parts of the game do you find like fun, right? Like if you want to play, like Colin, if your character is going to be the like skulky bow wielding assassin, right? Think about the kinds of things that character would need to be able to do. You need to be stealthy. You need to be able to shoot your bow. You probably even need to be able to track your target. You might need a way to get away, right? You might take wises that are like target wise or like bounty wise, right? That kind of thing. So like look at it as, how do I want to play this game? What do I want to do? Yeah, murder wise, exactly. What do I want to do in this game? And should I, like, do I have the skills for that?
Yeah. Well, I think I've got most of the sort of like, I don't know, long-range combat assassin type stuff covered already. So I'm kind of looking for something that's like, I don't know, something like social, like you said before. I don't really have any social ability. So the social whatsoever.
I mean, you have soothing platitudes. That's a social skill.
True.
Yeah, if you want to take persuade, that's an option. That's just like getting people to do things you want. Intimidate is one. Interrogate is one. I think manipulate is the other. Let me just double check.
Yeah, those don't fit my character. So
yeah, so there you go. So maybe your character doesn't have any good social skills.
I think maybe I will put or open soothing platitudes.
Yeah, well, you've already got it open because you have to, but you could yeah, you can advance it.
Yeah, let's just do that.
Cool. All right, you got your skills, Colin. Good stuff.
Cool.
Andrew, you got yours?
Yeah, I think I've got it all figured out.
Okay, cool. So,
just generally speaking,
for Sildon, for the baker, let's take a look at. Let's spend down some of those 22 points you got. You need to get it down. You need to get it down to 4.
12, right?
Oh, you've actually spent your general. Yeah, so you just need to spend those 12 on the ones that are open that are not boxing or knives. So, look at all the ones you have opened, and basically just decide which ones do you want to advance, right? Do you want to be better at inconspicuous? Move that up. Do you want to be better at baking? Throw some more points in that. Like, I could see...
Like, mending makes sense.
Yep. I could see you throwing some more points in baking and cooking, because that's kind of your concept, right?
That's my thing.
Yeah. If you open anatomy, you can use anatomy and knives together to know where the knife goes when you need to kill somebody.
And anatomy is specifically human anatomy, or does it also mean that you could like be a good butcher?
I think it means human anatomy.
Okay.
But I mean, I would allow it if you were like trying to get better meat out of an animal or something. I will double check.
What is the rule of law?
Rule of law is you know what is or is not illegal.
Okay. I guess that's pretty good to have.
Yeah, especially in a new regime, right? Be like,
Yeah.
actually, guys, that's illegal. It wasn't yesterday, but it is now. Don't do that.
Yeah.
And it could also be
I
relevant.
explicitly took that for that reason.
Yeah.
Yeah, like engaging with bureaucracy or talking to important
The
officials.
rule of
that kind
law.
stuff. It's very broadly applicable to society, hierarchies, that kind of thing.
So we're looking at the stabby one. Where is it? Hey, if you can't think of one, just take... Oh, no, yeah, it's anatomy is the study of the body's internal functions and structure. Ob1 is a dog. 2 and 3 are human organs. 4 is the circulatory system. 5, you could probably dissect a human. Good
Wow.
to know.
General anatomy.
Yeah, so it's general anatomy, so it might be useful. You learned it in school, but later could use it to poke people with knives better, but you don't have to.
Right.
So on the like martial arts angle, if you have anatomy, you can fork it in when you're like, you know, like breaking someone's arm or like holding them in a pressure point or something like that. Like it could be that discipline as well.
Yeah. Yeah, rule of law is useful for trying to intimidate other people with the law, to be like, you don't know this, and I do, ergo.
You be a fucking cop.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, so don't worry too much about the difference between like a 3 or a 4 or a 2 and a 3. Like just throw the points into whatever feels like it'll be fun for you. Because again, you can learn stuff in game for new things. Cool. All right. So for the rest of y'all, traits work the same way. They cost an amount. If they're on your sheet already, go ahead and put a 1 next to all those traits, because they're part of your life paths. They only cost you one of your points. I'll take your points away here, Saracen. You'll have a certain number of points to spend, and you can spend on just the ones you have, or you can buy new traits from the game. And these are skills are things that your character has learned to do. Traits are things that are true about your character. These will change again through play. So if your character starts off with murderous and you never murdered anybody, we're all going to vote that trait away from you. You will lose that trait because it's obviously not true about your character anymore.
Okay, I think I failed to record my traits earlier.
No, you just don't have any. It's weird. I double checked because I thought that too. So you have 6. You have 6 points. You have to spend 1 on mind-numbing work, and the rest you can spend on anything you want. You have 5 traits that you can just buy for nothing. So like, I'll tell you what mind-numbing work does first, and then you can, because you have to take that one, and the rest you can figure out yourself. So, mind-numbing work is a call-on for will when performing mind-numbing repetitive work. So, a call-on trait is you break ties in your favor, and it allows you to, you're better at this, because it's not that you're just used to mind-numbing work. So when I'm like, okay, you have to make a will test to do something that's incredibly boring. Your character's good at it. This is obvious stuff, like, you know, like carrying water buckets up a hill. But it's also about things like stakeouts, right? You have to sit in one place quietly and stealthily for 8 hours without moving. Backbreaking like labor. It's mind-numbing work.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. So then I can just pick some other things.
Yeah. So you can, in the book, go through and buy any trait that doesn't explicitly say that you have to be an elf or a dwarf or an orc. The traits are all listed. You can actually just look at them in the book, starting on page...
I think they were like before the skills.
They're on 310. They're right after the right after the skills. So on 310, the trait list, if it says character, doesn't have a description and is 1 point, it's just a thing that's true about your character.
Okay.
People are telling me that you've got your scribe skill opened, but I think we took it off, so I think you're okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're
I
fine.
did.
You're not paying the point for it.
No,
Good.
thanks, guys. It was checked before.
Okay.
So, thank you.
Cool. Okay, so for example, like, yeah, Colin, you've got 5 points to spend on whatever you want. You can take obsequious if you want to for 1 point. Obsequious means, let's see if it's a die trade or anything. I don't think it is. Yeah, it looks like it's just a character trait. You were just, you take orders well. A lot of yes sir business. You can choose to take that if you want to, but you don't have to. For Andrew, for your character, I see that you have taken broken and stubborn, like you have to, and you've also chosen to take lame and scarred. So that's...
I'm thinking about it,
good.
yeah.
Okay. And then you've got, what, another 2 points?
2 points left.
To take whatever you want? Okay. And Austin, you took Mark of Privilege, Bastard, and Cynical, and you did go with Muttering and Haunted?
Yeah.
Hot stuff.
I'm excited.
Cool. I like it.
Adam.
Yes, sir.
I'm debating between maimed and lame.
Sure.
And the reason I want one of either of these is that I want to have a frickin' peg leg.
Yep, that's lame. Lame refers
right?
Lame refers specifically to your legs.
Yeah, and then maimed. Maimed is like about your stats or whatever.
Maimed, I think, is more general. Maimed is horribly maimed. You choose the nature of your disfigurement and associate it with one physical stat. All tests on that stat are ob +2.
Okay, but what's the significance of stride, that lame?
You just can't run as fast as everybody else.
Okay, cool. Makes sense.
Yeah. So with the extra points, if you want to just spend one on a word or words that describe your character, you can do that. So, like, for example, you could say tall. Tall is a 1 point character trait. Angry, annoyed, things you want to role play about your character, and those are things that you can make 1 point character traits if you want to. So for you, Sildin, because I think you're done with your skills. You got one more point to spend.
Oh, I do?
Yeah.
Oh, I do. You're right.
To make something better.
Okay.
All right. Cool. So now for you, you need to, you have 7 points. You have to be a rabble rouser, you have to be broken in, and you have to have flowery.
Yeah.
So that leaves you with 4 points. You can be geometric and drunk, and you can take backbreaking labor if you want. Those all cost you 1 point. Or you can use those 4 points to buy from the book.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I definitely want geometric. I'll add some other stuff.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so these traits in the game, what you'll end up doing is you're playing your traits to get rewards, basically. Like, if your traits cause you trouble or frustration, or your character's like life gets more interesting because of your traits, you'll be rewarded with points. Essentially, that's sort of how the experience system in the game works.
Extra digit.
Yeah, you got like 6 fingers.
And yeah, if anyone has any suggestions for my character, I would love to hear them. If anything jumps to mind for me.
How many points do you have? You had 2?
I have 2 left. Yeah.
Okay. And you're looking to buy.
I don't know, character traits.
I mean, like, yeah.
I already
like,
have some die traits.
Do you have did you take Addicted? Addicted is a 1-point trait. You'd be addicted to gambling.
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay. So, I mean, it sounds like that's a thing you were going to end up with anyway, so.
All right, well then I have 1 more point.
Okay.
You talked about wanting to be like kind of braggy about this stuff, about like having helped the revolution.
Yeah, I'm kind of coming around on
something
that
for that?
idea, because I think the army that my character served in was actually like the king's army, and he maybe just happened to be in the right place at the right time while the assassination attempt was happening, and like people fighting and stuff. It's just like, oh, everyone's fighting, no one's looking at me. Like, kill the king.
Mm-hmm.
You could take, I mean, Chad is suggesting something to contrast all the, like, I'm in a bad place, like a more upbeat trait, or like something that shows up, like, the positive side of your character's life of suffering.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that'd be good.
Like indomitable, or whatever, like unconquered. A way to show, like, your character,
that's good.
that your character isn't just broken, lame, scarred, and stubborn. That, like, you there's a thing.
Some little kernel of something else. Yeah.
I like that a lot.
Good suggestion. And yeah, it's nice to have traits that are like counterpoints to your main drive of your character.
Yeah.
I was getting a little tunnel vision.
Going into a dark place.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Nice. I like yours, Colin. So, you've got, what, 1 point left?
Yeah.
Cool. So, that broken man trait, that's like a 1-point character one, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. Nice. Okay. And then alcoholic and fearless. That sounds like it's not going to cause you any kind of problem at all. Like, I'm drunk all the time and I'm not afraid of shit. I'm going to go out in the woods. I'm going to chop down some trees. Badass forester. But I'm drunk off my ass. I love it.
Frat.
Yeah, I'm trying to factor in the tragic backstory that I'm thinking of.
Nice.
But I'm not sure if I'll throw in alcoholic or not.
I like it. No, it's good. Cool. Nice. That's a good one. It's the perfectionist. I like that.
Yeah, I feel like that makes sense, since I spent not only so much time in school, but also so much time learning how to do something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally. Yeah, and so if you look at, if you're just looking for inspiration, the trait index, like on 584 near the back, just has a list of the costs and a list of just words, like names of traits, and you can just pick based on those. Like,
oh, that's super handy.
Like boaster, that looks cool. Blasphemer.
A bit deaf.
Cadaverous.
Branded a coward.
Curious. Eldritch Sink. Oh no, that's 8 points. Good, that's fine. You absorb magic.
Bottomless stomach is a trait that I have.
Drunk. Nice.
Blow the attic.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of these that the first time I looked at them, I had to look them up, because I was like, what the hell does this word mean? I didn't know what an ateliator was until I played Burning Wheel. Melodramatic family, mercenary, metal plate in the skull. Obsessed. That's a good one too.
Ornery. Overbite.
Yeah. Yeah, you're ornery about your overbite.
Yeah.
Stinky. Strange. Strong-willed. Yeah, they're all so fun. Underpaid. That's kind of a good one. Like, just constantly, like, whining about how you don't get enough for what you're doing. I feel like
everyone had that before this.
Yeah, before, exactly. I feel like I've played this with someone who had too old for this shit as a trait. Like, just crotchety and like, I'm too old for this shit. Why am I here? Yep. Appreciation for beauty. Arrogant. And they're all so good. So these are things that are true about your character before we start, and may or may not remain true about them. They may overcome their alcoholism or addiction to gambling, or they may, you know, not be so happy-go-lucky after spending a little time as a player character. I love there's a die trait called Spartacus. I can't remember what it does. I think it's that, like, you're easily mistaken for somebody else. I'm totally gonna look up. Enemy of the Sun. Holy shit. So metal.
That's so name.
The orcs are all really metal, actually. All their traits are like
Yeah,
that.
they really are. One day I'd like to play an orc game. Not today.
They're very short-lived. Your hatred just goes through the roof, and then everyone's dead.
I like thunderous snoring.
Yeah, it's totally easy to get, like, points for that. Causes trouble for you all the time.
Seen It All is a good one.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, at this point, I think all of you just have like 1 point left, 1 or 0 points. So just pick a thing, like if you were to describe your character. Yeah, Colin and Austin, you guys are in. So Andrew and Silton, like, just think of a thing that you would use, like describe your character in your head, like in a sentence, and then just pick a word from that. You know, like if you envision what your character looks like or how they act, find one like thing, a peak in that, and make it a trait. Because pretty much only character traits are 1 point.
I like big boned. Won't be a little thick.
Yeah, well, it makes sense for your character, right? Because you get huge power.
Yeah.
Awesome.
All that baking, you know?
Yeah. Well, the thing is, yeah, you're like, sure, you're lifting heavy stuff all the time, but you're also probably eating a lot too. So you're like, you're not like a petite person just by nature of your work.
Full-figured woman.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're all a little scary, but like, I wouldn't. You're the character I would probably imagine is like, you win fights because people don't expect to lose fights to you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay.
Do you have a rolling pin?
Hell yeah. Cool. All right. Do you have your last trait in mind there, Andrew?
Yeah, I'm just trying to think of the right way to word it.
Would you like some help?
Yeah, so I like the idea of like he's kind of off the leash or whatever. Like, this is now, like, he was a slave and now he's kind of stepped out of that.
I mean, unleashed is a trait.
Or like
That could be one.
Or
Are you looking to
owns himself, like
masterless?
Yeah, I think masterless is a good one for just like you can't stop this dude. He's just
That's right.
You know.
I was a slave and now I'm not. Cool. I like that. I mean, it's masterless is a little different, and it's a little bit more like manifest destiny feeling than something like free man.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Like, masterless is like, you got something to prove. Like, you cannot chain me again.
Exactly.
Whereas free man is like, I earned my freedom, or I was given it, and I'm not a slave anymore. One is who I am, and one is who I'm not anymore. Cool. I like it. Yeah, someone in the chat says, so then your character fights like Wilson Fisk. Kingpin. That's terrible. Okay, cool. So now you all have some questions to answer for me. I'm going to ask you questions individually, and we're going to do a little bit of very basic math to figure out your health and your steel, and then we'll do resources. So health begins at whatever it says on the sheet, and then I'm going to ask you about your character's life, and you can tell me some things about them. Some of these might warrant writing down because they could be significant questions for your character. So, health. We'll start with Andrew, because you have fancy health. You start at G1.
G1.
And your health is modified by the following questions. Does this character live in squalor and filth? Actually, let's all do it together, because you can answer. I'll go around and ask everybody. So, okay, so start with your health. Does your character live in squalor and filth? Sylvan, does your character live in squalor and filth?
No.
Andrew?
It wouldn't be squalor.
Yeah, no, I mean, it doesn't sound like it. You're a good baker.
Yeah, I don't live in squalor anymore.
No, no. Austin, does your character live in filth?
No.
How about you?
What is the opposite?
How about you, drunken ranger? You're muted, I think. You live in silence. Silence and filth.
No, I don't think it's reached that low yet.
All right, nobody is squalorous and filthy. Okay, so no change. Is your character frail or sickly? I mean, we know you're not frail.
I'm not frail.
You're not frail. That's 2 no's. Austin, is your character frail or sickly?
No.
Okay. Colin,
No.
frail, sickly? No. Okay. Has your character been wounded severely in the past?
Yes.
Like physically wounded severely?
Definitely.
Okay, definitely yes. Okay. Sylvan, how about you? Is the baker? No. Austin, severe physical wound?
I don't think severe, no.
Okay. Colin, severe physical wound?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Has your character ever been tortured or enslaved? Oh, also you answered yes, right?
I did.
And this is going to complicate your character. Your health goes down by 1, so you're at 0. I'll have to figure out what happens if you.
What?
Yeah.
There's a way for this to go up, isn't there?
Yes.
Okay. I'll be sure to take one of those.
We'll figure out the shade and all that crap in a second. Okay, cool. So, yeah, has your character been tortured and enslaved?
Yeah.
So that's another 1.
Okay.
I don't think anyone else has been tortured and or enslaved. No? Okay. Is your character athletic and active? If so,
Yes.
add 1. And I think this is true of maybe 3 of the 4 of you.
Yeah, I don't think
Like
I don't think
Austin.
that's true for me. I could
Possibly?
claim that.
Yeah, I mean maybe like
Like,
for your
know,
character,
but-
it is a question. Like for your character, something you're like big and tough, but it doesn't necessarily mean you're athletic exactly.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm active, but not
Yeah.
necessarily
Okay.
athletic.
So it's up to you. If you are, add 1 to your health. If not, just leave it. And lastly, does your character live in a really clean and happy place like the hills in The Sound of Music?
No.
Is that even possible,
No.
giving our
No, right?
Yeah, I mean,
given
no.
our backstory
So
here?
here's a question.
Yeah.
Is that possible? Is my question in this place. 2, there's a thing I've done later on in character creation that might make this possible for everyone else, but I will get there later, I guess.
Sure. I mean, I think this means like really special, not like you have a nice house, but like you
Okay,
live
then no.
in a nice
Then-
house in a nice place because
No.
you're probably an elf, you cheating bastard. Okay, cool. So you don't add 1. Okay, so that's what your health is. Whatever number we
Right.
ended up on. I think, Andrew, it just bottoms out at 1. Like I don't think this process can kill you.
Also, I already have lame to account for my wounds.
Yes, yeah. So we'll bottom you out at 1 and leave
Yeah.
it there. Okay. So steel. So steel is how tough your character is mentally. So you're gonna roll this if you're injured, you're gonna roll it if something scares you. It's your character's mental badassitude. So it starts at 3. So it's a base of 3.
Mhm.
And you will answer the following questions about your character's history. Now, some of these are related to the ones we already answered. So, have you taken a conscript, soldier, bandit, squire, or knight type life path?
Yep.
Only one of you has. That your steel goes up by 1. Have you ever been severely wounded? I think only one of you answered this. If you were injured, but you were already a soldier, knight, or bandit, which is true of you, your steel goes up again. So basically what happens is, being badly injured makes you worse if you weren't a soldier, but makes you better if you were. So you're ready for it. It makes you tough. Here's a good one, and this is a question I always really like. Has the character ever murdered or killed someone by their own hand? If you've done this more than once, steel is raised by 1. 1 time will fuck you up. Twice, 3 times, it's not such a bad deal. So did any of you murder more than one person?
How bloody was this revolution?
I mean, I think
different from
How
killed
bloody
a
was this
fight.
revolution?
Yeah, murdering is murdered or killed. So I think that in a fight counts,
No,
but not in a war.
It says murdered or killed.
Yeah,
Okay, so then
Okay.
definitely me,
Okay.
yes.
yeah,
Sounds like maybe Colin might have.
yeah. You ever killed anybody before?
I mean, not that I know of. I think I've done some more indirect damage.
Okay. All right. How about our baker? Have you ever murdered anybody before?
No people pies.
Not yet. Okay.
Oh man, you guys are soft.
So if you have murdered or killed with your own hand more than once, raise your steel by 1. Have you been tortured, enslaved? Oh, this is gonna suck for you, Andrew. Have you been tortured, enslaved, or beaten terribly over time?
Yeah.
Okay. If yes, and your will is 5 or higher, raise your steel by 1. If yes, and your will is 3 or lower, reduce your steel by 1.
Yep.
Okay. Has your character led a sheltered life, free from violence and pain? I don't think so.
I could make that case, but I think the fact that I left for 15, that I literally fled the sheltered life to go live in the woods with a hermit, might say no here.
Okay. How about you, Sylvan?
I don't know
Yeah.
if does that sound
It makes
reasonable,
sense.
or does that
Yeah.
sound
I mean,
cheesy?
a sheltered life is fine. Like, all it's going to do is reduce your steel. You're just making your character less good at resisting stuff if you've led a sheltered life. Yeah.
Right, I know, but I'm saying the other way though. I'm saying, does it sound like this is not a sheltered life? The fact that he left that shelter, or is this only counting like his childhood?
That could be the shelter,
Like,
right?
Yeah, for those first 8 years, he was probably sheltered. But then he left.
I mean, it's intentionally unclear because free from violence and pain, like, no, not your whole life, but like the majority of your life, you ran away. But also, yeah, like no, I don't think so. I don't think enough of your life was free from violence and pain. Okay. All right, so...
Okay. 15 years is a lot of years. Yeah.
If you've led a sheltered life, free from violence and pain, reduce your steel by 1. If not, just leave it as it is. Has your character been raised in a competitive but non-violent culture? Sports, debate, strategy games, courting, those are all things that are important to your culture. And this is a call you can make, whether you're all of the same culture or not.
Yes, here.
Yeah? Okay.
Right.
Yeah, I'm gonna say yes here too.
Okay. Is this yes? Is this yes for everybody?
Yeah.
Probably.
Well,
Okay.
to what extent
I think, like,
I've been in that culture as a slave
I
soldier.
think not for you, Andrew. Like, your steel comes from the battlefield, whereas their steel might come from, like, yes, you were raised to be competitive. You were raised to be, like, the best whatever you... I mean, like, for your character, we already talked about how, like, there are these guilds, and, you had to work hard to be a baker.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, if yes on that one, raise your steel by 1.
Plus the skill, plus the school stuff, where it's like...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Has the character given birth to a child? If so, raise it by 1.
Interesting question.
Yeah. If so, that does, yeah, it begs the question, let's talk about your baby.
No. It's too complicated.
Okay. All right. Does anyone have a 6 or higher perception?
I think I do.
No.
Okay. If you
Yeah, I
do,
have 6.
if you do, steel goes up by 1. You've seen the bad shit in the world and you know how to handle it.
I've seen some shit.
Anybody with a will of 5 or higher, steel goes up by 1.
Yeah.
And anyone with a fort of 6 or higher, steel up by 1.
Question, Adam.
Yes, sir.
I invested a total of 6 points in my will.
Mm-hmm.
Does that, but it doesn't matter because it's still Gray Shade 1, or is it like...
This is, yeah, I think this is the thing, like, if you get Gray Shade, you just start with low...
Yeah, that's totally fine, I'm just curious if it,
Yeah.
like, counts as or whatever.
No. Yeah, it doesn't say anything here about that, it's just the exponent. Okay, well, hesitation auto calculates. We're done with that part. So, those are your stats. You've got your steel and your health on your sheet now, which is cool. What's everybody's health and steel? What's yours, Sylvan?
5 and 4.
Okay. Andrew?
G1 and 5.
Okay, yeah, not bad. Yeah, that G1 health, though, like, you're so frail. Cool, yeah, 2 and 5. Cool, okay, great. So, the last thing that we need to do, and we may want to end up just, like, doing this, because this is... It's interesting, but it does take time, and we might want to do it as a reveal if you guys are willing to do some homework for the next one. But let's talk about resources.
Okay.
Let's talk about resources, shall we? I mean, I guess this is the question. Like, it's getting later for some of y'all than it is for me. Do you want to like stop and do this later, or should we spend like a half hour looking at this stuff? How are y'all feeling?
I've done it. I've done this section.
Oh my god.
All right. Well, let's leave it then. We'll talk about it, and then we can do it between the episodes, and we'll start the next one with talking about.
I mean, alternatively, me being done this section can mean that you guys can do it, and I can bounce since my connection is falling apart anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I want you here for this when we talk about relationships and stuff. So.
That's true.
We can do this in between. So let's talk about what we do with these points, and then we can look at it over the break, and we'll pick up at the beginning of the next episode.
Okay.
So resources points are accumulated by your character basically like getting money. It's not as like concrete as that. It's not like you have 31 resource points, which goes straight to, you have 1,000 gold. It's points you use to buy gear, so literally like shoes, clothes, horses. You can buy property, so a house. This is like weapons and armor, the kinds of shit that a character would just carry around with them. You use it to buy relationships. So these are NPCs that you want to include in the game that you don't want to have to ask me to include. So you can be like, my character has a brother, and I want to be able to access my brother as an NPC throughout the game without having to like harass the GM about it. So you'll buy relationships. They're all important because they're important to your character, and they cost a different amount depending on how important they are and how close you are to them. So, for example, they start at either 15 points to someone who is very powerful or plays a very large role in the setting. So like a member of parliament or another one of the cursed or something like that. 10 points is someone who's significant or important, but not like a huge deal. So like a duke rather than like the king. And then a relationship with a character who plays a minor role. So like a functionary in the Baker's Guild would cost you 5 points. Now you can make these cheaper by making them immediate family, other family, bonds of romantic love, forbidden relationships, or hateful or rivalry. And you can stack those. So like the example that I always use when I give, the example I give here is like Jaime and Cersei Lannister both took each other at character creation as relationships. They're both powerful, so they cost a fair amount, but they got a discount because they're immediate family, they're romantic love, and it's forbidden. And then they hate each other. So it's actually pretty cheap, like when it comes down to it. So the more complicated, basically the more complicated the relationship is, the less that it costs you. These kinds of people are useful because you can say, I imagine that my character has a support network of these people, or a bunch of enablers that are these people. So Andrew, you might take like a guy who owns a gambling hall, or like a bookie or something. But you might also take someone who saved your life in the army, or someone whose life you saved, right? You can take other people like you, so other students, other bakers, other foresters, other huntsmen. You can take people related to your life paths, but you can also take people totally unrelated, as long as you can explain how you know them. So if you're, the captain of the city watch, you could take the king of thieves, but it'll cost you. But they're probably also your brother, and it's forbidden, and you hate them, so they're less expensive. So this is a way for you to pad the world with NPCs that I can then use, and we can integrate into the campaign. You can buy affiliations. So these are membership in an organization. So you might be officially registered as a member of the Bakers Guild. It doesn't mean you can't be a part of that organization if you don't take the affiliation. It means it just doesn't matter to your character. It's not that important right now, or you're striving to be important enough for it to matter. You can take a reputation, and this can be serious stuff like the best bounty hunter in the galaxy, or it can be little stuff like you're a drunk. You have a reputation for being a drunk. People don't trust you. So those are things that you can take as reputations. And then you can take things like gangs or crews. So if you have a bodyguard, a squire, an apprentice, a gang, a crew, all of that stuff, that costs points too, and you can just buy them, and they're NPCs that are in the game. So if you have, for example, like, so then your character could have an apprentice baker that you are either nice to because your life was rough, or it's the cycle of pain and you're like, awesome, now it's my turn, sucker. And those types of people cost, if they're individuals, they just cost 10 points, and then you get them. So these are things that your character will have at the beginning of the game, and depending on what you spend this on, that will increase your resources and your circles abilities, which we'll talk about at the end. Now, what I'm going to need you to do before we start the next episode, because we want to be able to play in the next one, is spend your resource points and think about and write your beliefs and your instincts. And it sucks because these are really important, and I want to spend time on them. But I also, recognize that we want to stop and give you a chance to disengage from the great burning wheel for a little while, because it's a lot of stuff. But it's probably actually nice to give yourself some time to percolate on this stuff. We'll talk about it more off screen and the theory of how these work, but basically, just to get you started, we definitely need these to play. Your character is going to have 3 things that they believe strongly, and 3 instincts things that they do without thinking. So beliefs are basically in 2 parts. They're I feel or think this thing, and this is what I'm going to do about it. So you might have my part in the revolution was a crime, and I'm going to, and then a way you're going to make up for it. And you want to break these down into small things you could do right now. So like being a part of the revolution was a mistake. I'm going to donate a bunch of money to an orphanage to make up for it, right? Like, it's a thing your character wants and a way you're gonna pursue that. So you'll have 3 of those. I often suggest 1 based on your past life, the life paths that you were in. 1 based on the current situation, which is, you're cursed and things are bad. And then 1 based on another character, so that you all tie yourselves together. So you might have a way that you are related to another character and how you believe, what you believe about that, and you all can work on that together to build those. And then instincts are basically like action macros for your character. So always, never, if then, statements like that. So you might say, never go without a sharp knife. That's an instinct. You'll always have a sharp knife on you. I will never be able to take that away from you unless you explicitly get in a situation where I'm saying to you, they're taking away your knife. But otherwise, you can just be like, yep, I have a knife because it says here on my instincts. Never let one of my comrades go hungry. Always check for an exit when I enter a room. If someone insults me, slap them in the face. Right? And what'll happen is you're going to get rewarded for pursuing your beliefs, resolving your beliefs, coming in conflict with them in a big dramatic way, following your instincts in a way that gets you in trouble. So that if someone insults me, slap them in the face. If it's someone who you should definitely not slap in the face and you do it anyway, you're going to get points, right? Because your life is more complicated now. One hint there is to choose instincts that conflict with your beliefs. So like butt heads with your own character. That's a thing that you can do. And again, start thinking about this, brainstorm it. You got a week to get these down. Hit me up offline. We'll talk about it. I'll be available if you want to just like jump on a Skype call or something and talk this stuff out. And what we'll do at the beginning of the next session is you can tell us where you spent your resource points and what your beliefs and instincts are, and then we can start playing.
Cool.
Cool.
Awesome.
All right. So I will for the audience, I will start a Q&A thread on the Roll20 subreddit. So you can go over there, you can ask me questions if you have things you would like to know about the game or my plans for it. There won't be a GM episode for this show because we don't have beliefs and instincts for the characters. So we'll have one after the next episode. Yeah, I think that's it for scheduling stuff. Let's just go around real quick and remind everybody who we are because it's been several hours. Do you want to start, Andrew?
Yeah, I'm Andrew. You can follow me at Green Crow. I'm also on the Roll20 Apocalypse World show, which is happening on Thursdays. So you can check out all of that.
Sweet deal. Sildon, how about you?
Thank you for watching, everyone. I'm Jess IRL, Sildon on Twitter. I tweet art and stuff, and Colin and I also have a podcast called Ponderlust. And it's popular topics in science, and it's once a week, every Thursday, so check that out too.
Yeah, nerd stuff.
What do you mean? What?
Such good promotion. Such good.
I'm plugging us.
Colin, would you like to have a turn? You want to try and do better?
Sure. I'm Colin. And, well, first of all, can I just say thanks for bearing with us tonight, or with me, I should say. Because you guys have been super patient, and that's awesome. I'm really excited. But if for some reason
I'm really excited that you're part of it, because like having a new player, having someone who's like completely, this is going to be your first big role playing thing, and having it be about a game that's about like beliefs and characterization is so dope. I'm so excited.
Yeah, me too. And if you do want to follow my personal stuff, I'm on Twitter at SVNDER, and that's pretty much it. Jess covered the rest.
Cool. Austin, how about you?
You can find me on the internet at Austin_Walker on Twitter. You can find that I write about video games and the videos I do about video games at giantbomb.com, and you can listen to my actual play podcast at friendsattetable.net.
Cool stuff. Well, I am and continue to be Adam Coble. I am your GM for The Burning Wheel and your MC for Roll20 Presents Apocalypse World. You can check my stuff out right here for those two shows at twitch.tv/Roll20app. And you can follow me personally here on Twitch at twitch.tv/Adam Coble, where I play video games and talk about them. Like every other streamer, I guess, on Earth. But I tend to focus on role-playing games and talk about narrative and all that business. You can follow me on Twitter at Skinny Ghost. You can follow the Roll20 Twitter at Roll20app. And what I would like to stress more than anything is the stuff that we're doing here, we're doing in a way that you can do it too. So go and start a Roll20 account, get some nerds together, and do all of this yourself. You know, it's not as hard as it looks, and with Burning Wheel, the idea for me was to create an opportunity for people to play a game that can be a little intimidating. And so I'm really excited to see how all this stuff comes together. And if you have a game you're running, if you're streaming your own game on Roll20, let me know on Twitter, and I will check it out, because I'm all about that stuff. I caught some folks playing Apocalypse World the other day on Twitch, and it was rad, so I want to see more of that action. We welcome fan contributions, fan art, anything. If you like the show, feel free to contribute in whatever way feels cool for you. Thank you for coming. That's obviously the biggest one. Having an audience for this stuff feels great. I'm really excited to see the game flower and go to some weird places. So until next week, we will see you around. Thanks for coming, everybody. Later.
Night.